Give me big old buckets of butter beer. Give me big old barrels of butter beer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here of the sweet old butter beer.
Welcome to the Three Broomsticks. We invite you to pull up a chair, grab a butterbeer, and settle in for a hearty discussion about Harry Potter. I'm Aurelia Lieb.
I'm Irvin Cateman.
And I'm Sam Williams, and I'm on episode 42 because I've been recording for 3 hours, so if I'm extra loopy, people, that's why. And this is our guest, our wonderful social media manager, a dear, dear person to all of our hearts, Jeff Hutton. Welcome.
You know what? Why don't I just sit back here for a minute and you can keep saying wonderful things about me, and then that's the episode. Like, that's
okay. We got that.
Say wonderful things about me.
Absolutely no
episode.
Problem. So Jeff is amazing.
Jeff is incredible.
Oh,
Jeff does everything you can think of in the Potter fandom. Like, if you've listened to a Harry Potter podcast, he's probably been on several episodes and probably does something for them behind the scenes.
probably.
Also, he's a wonderful musician.
Yes.
I have been accused of that. Yeah, that is true.
He is not yet in jail, though. So no street cred for your musicianship yet. I'll wait for you to do the Martha Stewart
wouldn't
thing.
count on that. I'm a fun-loving type, but I keep a pretty clean nose most of the time.
Jeff, I've listened to you on Care of Magical Shippers. You don't keep a clean anything, be honest.
Lies! Liza Minnelli!
I love how literal, when you're talking about musicians, keeping a clean nose is.
Okay.
Speaking of drugs, what Hogwarts house are you a part of?
What? That is the weirdest. Like, I can't tell. Is that a sexy transition? I can't tell.
No, it's
Hufflepuff
not.
is absolutely the name of a drug.
Excuse me. I get to
Excuse
see what
you,
house I'm
Sam.
in.
Puff the Magic
How very
Dragon?
dare you? Okay, you know what, Sam? Sit down. Sit down. I got this. Because, Irvin, you know what I'm about to say, so please back me up on this. I'm a puff.
Hi!
Okay, now that I've been a very poor host, please, Jeff, explain to us your journey to Potter, your favorite book, and who on earth is your favorite character?
Sure. I used to think my journey into Potter was unusual, but apparently this actually happens for a lot of people. I didn't really have the patience to read chapter books when I was young, so I was all about the movies, and I had no idea what I was missing. Around the time Goblet of Fire came out, I'd seen it a bunch of times, but I didn't want to wait 2.5 years to figure out what was going to happen next. So my older brother loaned me his copy of Order of the Phoenix, and when I read that, I said, wow, I have been missing a lot this whole time. So I could have just gone back to the beginning, I guess, but I soldiered through to Half-Blood Prince, and then it's good that I did it that way, because by the time I finished Half-Blood Prince, I had finished in just enough time that I did get to join in on the very last midnight release at Walden Books. Some people remember those. For not Order, that was the first one I read, for Deathly Hallows. And that was a really, really great thing to be a part of. So I did only get to go to one, but I did get to be a part of at least one, and that was wonderful. I became aware of Harry Potter podcasts about 13 years ago, with shows like Alohomora and Mugglecast and a lot of other. There weren't as many back then. There's tons of them now, but that was really where it started. And ever since then, I've just found Harry Potter podcasts that have come at the series from so many different angles. It's really amazing how even now, like case in point with this show, people still keep coming up with things to talk about. So the podcasts have always been a big part of my journey into Potter for me. And then a few years ago, after I joined up with Speak Beastie, which some people are probably familiar with, we did a crossover with WZRD Radio hosted by my dear friend Bess. And that was when I really started to think about Wizard Rock, because I'd been aware of it, but I realized just how much of it there was that I'd never considered when we did that crossover. And Bess asked me on the show, when are we going to get Dreamquaffle Wizard Rock? And that was when I was in the middle of this period in my life where I realized the only reason I hadn't done certain things is because I had just never tried. I've been a musician my whole life, but I'd never tried writing and performing songs that I'd written. But when I became immersed in Wizard Rock for that crossover, I said, you know what? The only reason I've never done this is because I just didn't know and I just never tried. So I decided to try. And the opportunities that I've had in the fandom community since stepping into Wizard Rock have been incredible. I've gotten to go to places I never thought I'd get to go. I've met the most amazing people, and just the whole journey has really been amazing. And it's been just so thrilling to be a part of it.
Incredible.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I mean, you do so much in this fandom, like, because, again, takes one to know one. Like, I know how hard it is to sort of wear multiple hats in the fandom, you know, podcast and being into Wizard Rock and all of that. So I am amazed at all you accomplish and, like, you know, all you manage to find time for.
Well, that's high praise from you, Irvin. You and I have known each other for a while now, and I've read your books, so that's a very big compliment coming from you.
So, what's your favorite book out of the 7?
I know it's not the most popular with everybody, but my favorite book really is Order of the Phoenix. I can't help it. I know.
That's 2 episodes where it's 3 out of 4. That's 2 episodes where it's 3 out of 4 people. Jeff, I love that book the most too.
I know.
I was going to
recall.
say, correct answer.
Yeah, thank you. Boo. It's okay. You know what, Irvin? I accept your booze. I'm a fantastic... You know what? I work for a podcast about Fantastic Beasts. I know about, like, enjoying something that other people consider not the best. I get it, and it's fine. You know what? There's things about... for one thing, I enjoy that it is the longest book because I get to enjoy it more. I enjoy angsty caps lock Harry. I don't know why. I just do. And even though she is very evil, there's something about the character of Dolores Umbridge. I mean, I wrote a whole song about her. It's called Dolores. Look it up on Bandcamp on your own time, people. But she's just such an interesting character to read. I don't quite know what it is about her because everything she does is infuriating. There's just something about the way that she's put together as a character, the way she interacts with all of the other characters. It's intriguing.
So is Umbridge your favorite character then?
No. And see, I knew you guys were going to ask me that. The funny thing is, I have answered this question different ways at different times. I feel like it's one of those mood things. I can't just pick one favorite character. And it's one of those things where if you ask me who my favorite character is, I'm going to decide in the moment, and it could be for completely different reasons from the last time somebody asked me. So in this case, I'm thinking about Order of the Phoenix. I'm thinking about recent episodes of other podcasts I've listened to, and my favorite character that I'm thinking about at the moment is Mrs. Fig, because she's just there. She's just present. And she gets one of my favorite moments in Order of the Phoenix when she's telling Mundungus Fletcher off and she's saying stuff like, I'll give you undercover and you worthless pile of bat droppings. And then she just starts whacking the crap out of him with a bag full of cat food. Because the last time I read through that book, I thought, you know what? I bet if Molly Weasley was here right now, she would probably say, okay, you done good, Toots. I'll take it from here. Like snatches the bag of cat food from her and just says, this is how you wallop somebody.
If Molly Weasley was there, I'm pretty sure she would have been in Azkaban because Mundungus Fletcher would be dead. We have the actual regulation.
No way Mundungus survives that encounter.
Yeah.
I mean, I know don't we find out when Harry finally gets to Grimmauld Place and he starts finding out what's going on? Don't we find out that she is incredibly upset with him? I mean, she doesn't like him anyway. That's a given. But don't they say something about how she's not happy with him for slipping off when he was supposed to be watching Harry?
Oh, yeah. Ron literally says it to Harry, tells him that. But also, like, the subtext is rife with eye stabbings from Molly to Mundungus.
See, that's what I thought. It just, I know that especially, you know, people react to things differently because she heard the news later after some other stuff had also happened. But like in the moment, if she's there when Harry has just had to fight off Dementors, Mundungus is right in front of her face, Dumbledore and the other Order members aren't around right now, then she's going to take that bag and she's going to whack the crap out of them.
Yep.
Okay, now I know the fan fiction I need to write next. By the way, I do that too.
Yes.
Just in
Yeah.
case. Because obviously what I need is a hobby, so I also write fan fiction.
Well done.
Of course. Well, for today, for this episode, which is episode number 7, we have gathered to discuss sevens. Yeah, like the number.
Comes after 6.
Sevens in Harry Potter, it's a whole thing. And frankly, our episode all about 3s for episode 3 went so well, we're just like, you know what, we're gonna keep it going. So from now on, we're just gonna discuss, 8s on the next episode, 9s on the one after that. This is now
Dear
our
Lord
podcast.
Urban, kill me now.
Does that make us numerologists? Is that what that is?
Yes, or it makes me a mathemagician.
Got it. Well done.
Thank you. So, there is a lot you can read on the internet about sevens in Harry Potter. It's been kind of a thing. I have also dabbled in the subject, and by dabbled, I mean I have at least 3 essays fully devoted to it. So, before getting into the episode, if you want to brush up, I can recommend my article, The 7 Battles, over at MuggleNet, and the follow-up, The Potions Riddle, which are both from 2015, which is an appalling number of years ago. And I recently came out with another one on the topic called Goblet of Sevens, which, yes, is all about the sevens in Goblet of Fire. And, of course, it's not just me. I also really enjoyed, over at the Lexicon, they did a countdown to Deathly Hallows being published by essentially being like, hey, we have 7 days, everyone. What are the sevens in the series? And just all the commenters were, trying to come up with them. So that's a lot of fun. I did dig up this post from 2007. So if you want a blast of the past, you can check that out as well. So happy reading, everyone.
And a huge thanks to Sam Oman over on Patreon, who bought us this round of drinks at the pub.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you,
Thanks,
Sam.
Sam.
Thank you,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Thank you, Sam. That was not me.
No. It's the other Sam, the one we really, really like, for buying us drinks.
No, the
other
world can
Sam.
always use more Sams. You guys, you know what? You guys should form a Sam's Club. Some people listening will know what that is. Trust me, it's funny to some people.
This has been a fun last episode for me. Thanks all for having me on as a host.
Well, you know what? Fine, because we now have options for Sams that we can have on the show. Just saying.
Speaking of people that like to be a part of our episodes, we've been having a great commenter on our episodes named Absent-Minded Raven, who we would like to offer a toast to because they've been doing a great job. So I'm going to offer a toast to Absent-Minded Raven for their comment on episode 4. This episode was a dive into the 3rd chapter of the first book in the series, Letters from No One. So let's raise our glass and toast Absent-Minded Raven, who said, quote, "The text falls heavily on the nurture side of nature versus nurture debate, given the whole theme of blood prejudice. The books frequently show that it's not blood that makes people great. Parentheses, Hermione is a muggle born and top of the class. Neville is pure blood, but succeeds through hard work, not circumstances. Voldemort leads the pure blood supremacy group and yet is a half-blood, etc. End parentheses. Which is why it annoys me greatly when the first movie tells Harry he's good at Quidditch because, quote, it's in your blood, unquote. That's a terrible Hermione accent. And gives that line to Hermione. Parentheses, the book has McGonagall remark that James was an excellent Quidditch player. Interesting notes from Absent-Minded Raven. What are y'all thoughts?
First of all, I think you said Absent-Minded Raisin like twice.
Oh, all right.
Yes, and I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed that.
I
I'm just
enjoyed
picturing
that
like a
too.
little like cartoon raisin who just like can't remember what's going on.
Don't you know I heard it through the grapevine?
Sounds great, doesn't it?
Perhaps it's from California.
That's my new band name. Called it. No one can take it. Absent-Minded Raisin.
You know what? Wizard Rock is full of interesting band names. That would be one I think people could actually really get behind. I can see that on a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Sam. If you make these T-shirts, I will wear one.
I would
Great.
wear one as well.
Little Field of Dreams happening. If I build it, you will come.
Yes.
Definitely, for sure.
But on the topic of the comment, I thought it's a great comment. I think the whole nature versus nurture thing in Harry Potter, like, I mean, we could easily do a podcast all about it, because, like, it's not clearly one or the other, but I do think it leans very heavily towards nurture. And I also agree that, like, generally the first two movies are pretty damn good at, like, adapting the books, but it is these little things, like quotes like that just bug me, because, yeah, like, clearly you're missing the memo here.
And the moment that stands out to me when I think about this comment is the moment in Goblet of Fire when Dumbledore is making his fruitless speech to Cornelius Fudge, when he points out it matters not what someone is born, but what they are grown to be. A Dementor has just destroyed the last remaining member of a wizarding family as old as any, and see what that man chose to make of his life. That's what's in the text. Dumbledore is trying to make the point. It doesn't matter what kind of family that he came from or that he was pure blood. It matters what he chose to make of his life, and that's not entirely his fault.
I remember as a child watching that movie for the first time and being quite thick-headed and imagining little broomsticks in Harry's blood, and that's why that line bothered me, because I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, see, that it's in your blood comment. That's one of those things. It's a movieism. Hermione definitely doesn't say that in the books. It's not like it's in your blood because you're a wizard. It's in your blood because people in your family are great Quidditch players, which, by the way, I know it's a movieism, but it's weird that Hermione knows that and he doesn't. I know that's a line like immediately after, she knows more about you than you do. Who doesn't? Which is cheeky and funny, but still, it's weird that Hermione knew that.
Yeah, honestly, if that came from Ron, I feel like it would make a lot more sense, right?
The Quidditch-loving fan? Yeah.
Because he loves Quidditch. His brothers have played the heck out of Quidditch on the Gryffindor team for, longer than any of them have been at the school. So he should have been the one to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Hermione, she's the knowledge filter. She's the one who knows everything. So she's the one who has to constantly inform.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, what was it? In Sorcerer's Stone, everyone's like, Charlie Weasley, like, he's the best since Charlie Weasley. Like, it would make sense if they were like, and before Charlie Weasley, it was James Potter. So yeah, like, from Ron, I could see that. And also because, yeah, Ron would sort of have a more, like, I mean, I guess it's in your blood filter than Hermione the Muggle-born. So yeah, I would object to it a lot less if the line was given to Ron instead of Hermione, but that is also true of most of Steve Kloves' writings, so there we are.
Yeah, well, what can you do? Reboot it and turn it into a TV series, maybe?
I can absolutely refuse to watch the TV series if Steve Kloves is involved in any way, shape, or form.
Right,
like,
because
the minute they announced that, I'm like, I'm out, peace.
Right, because he's the problem.
Yes, 100%. Him and David Yates.
Right, just those two, definitely not anybody else at all.
Yep.
Anyway.
Thanks, Absent-Minded Raven, for the comment.
Yes, also, fantastic guest appearance on the show, I thought. Very, very, very good job as a guest host, Absent-Minded Raven.
Yes, agreed.
To all of our listeners out there, please comment on our episodes. You can go to our website and comment right on the episode in question. And we love to read those comments. And there's also a chance that your comment will be read on our episode as well. And we, especially Irvin, are very good at responding to those comments. And I will try and be in the document as well a little bit more often. So please interact with us there. Love you all. To the main discussion.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yes! Sevens! All of the sevens! So, Oreo, you of course are amazing at research, so why don't you tell us a little bit more about the most powerfully magical number?
All right. So I thought it would make sense to start off a little bit on the importance of 7 in other literature, and honestly, a lot of it is religion. So 7 days of the week, that is objectively speaking, an interesting decision to make, which is obviously based on the Bible and the origin story of that.
I read that the 7 days of the week came from, like, the 7, quote, classical planets in antiquity. Because, you know, before they had telescopes, they saw 7 things in the sky. So it was, you know, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the moon, and the sun.
All the Sailor Scouts.
Yeah, exactly. So 7, quote, planets, 7 days of the week.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Sorry, continue.
And there's more important in old. Is it science? Let's go with science. So there's 7 metals that are important to alchemy. There are, again, going back to the Bible, 7 deadly sins. Then there's also the 7 pillars of wisdom and the 7 sacraments.
Which are?
Oh, you go ahead.
7 pillars of wisdom, which are what?
Yeah, what are they?
Like, I'm familiar with the 7 metals important to alchemy and the 7 deadly sins, certainly, because my father was a minister, but what are the 7 pillars of wisdom? Is that a religious thing, like, specific to Christianity, or is that more of a philosophical thing?
I believe, and this has been a while since I put that into the doc, but I believe it's Greek. So it's coming out of that.
Okay, that sounds about right. They were very focused on that.
Yeah.
Also, Oreo, if you're gonna say that, can you at least do Julie Walters and Mamma Mia? It's very Greek.
See, that way it's related to the series because of Julie Walters.
Exactly. Yeah, keep us on topic here.
It's very ancient Greek.
I like that. Ooh, I've got it. Fear of the Lord, instruction, knowledge, understanding, discretion, counsel, and reproof. Those are the 7 pillars of wisdom, just in case anybody else wanted to know.
What I'm hearing is Ron has none of these, therefore really is not a Ravenclaw.
Yep, check that.
Exactly.
Going back to the days a little bit, but in the Bible, God rested on the 7th day. And then some other mentions I've found is during the Middle Ages at like the universities, there were 7 liberal arts taught there.
Well, I'm gonna ask, what are the 7 liberal arts?
Same question.
Oh, I tried to keep this brief, but clearly I shouldn't have.
Well, you're
Me and
on it.
Jeff
You
on
know
the
what?
episode.
You knew you were going to be on an episode with Irvin and I, so you know what? Bullet points, bullet points, bullet points.
Aurelia, I'm sitting right there with you being like, oh, cool. These are nice little tiny factoids that we can do. For the listeners, Aurelia is my partner in crime on being on hour 3.5 of podcasting today. So I'm like, great, these will be awesome. And then I'm hearing all these questions and my brain is slowly decaying.
Yeah.
It's okay. If you don't have them at hand, it's okay. People can Google them on their own time.
All right, so we got 7 sacraments. We've got several liberal arts. We got 7 stars. We got 7 colors of the rainbow. There's some other things in 7s for the Harry Potter fandom, and that's the end of the episode. I'm Sam Williams.
Okay, before we move on from other things, I want to say this one too. Some people might remember Schoolhouse Rock was a thing. That's how I learned multiplication. Multiplication Rock was one of my favorites. And Lucky 7 Samson was my favorite of all of the songs in that tape. I learned all my times tables from that tape, but Lucky 7 Samson was my absolute favorite.
Nice.
Right. On your quest of wisdom, I found the 7 liberal arts.
Yay!
So this better be worth it. So it's grammar, logic, rhetoric, arithmetic, astronomy, music, and geometry.
All right, so I want to spend the next 20 minutes discussing these because it's fascinating how half of them are now considered not liberal arts.
Right. Yeah, I guess our definition of arts and science has really changed over the time.
I was kidding. We can move on.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So this was my attempt to give you a little bit of a background on 7s, but by all means, go read a book about them.
Shuffle me off.
Yeah,
this
listeners,
coil.
Listeners, if you have any good books about the number 7 to recommend, we'd love to hear them, because Sam especially
I
wants to
really
read them.
want to dig into the 7s. You know me. I need more information than what we're already about to discuss.
Well, a good book series about 7s is the Harry Potter series, so back on track.
Yes, Sam, you should read those.
Oh my gosh, I've never read those in my whole life.
Now that was a sexy transition. I like that.
Tell me more about the series. Start from the beginning. What happens?
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive.
We're perfectly normal, thank you very much.
We're happy to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much.
I'm out. Terrible first sentence. Garbage franchise.
So the first chapter is half of it is only about muggles. And
What are
about
those?
this guy who works for a drilling company.
Oh, he seems cool.
Anyway. Yeah, he's everyone's favorite character. Yeah, but talking about Harry, the titular character, his birthday is in the 7th month of the year, July, in case you were not aware. And there's some other things to his personal life that you can tie in with the number 7. So Lily and James began dating in their 7th year at Hogwarts. And Harry and Ron both received 7 Ls. Or OWLs.
Which is a miracle that Ron received any.
Yep.
No, it says they received OWLs. It doesn't say they excelled. Ron does not get any outstandings at all, as I recall, and Harry just gets the 1.
Yes, but in a meta way, Ron exceeded expectations by getting any owls at all, so
Yeah.
he really should have gotten E's across the board.
Well, that was a Fred and George joke. That was actually one of my favorite Fred and George jokes, was that they exceeded expectations by even turning up for the exams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still astounds me that what's his toes Percy Weasley. It's been a long day. Percy Weasley gets more outstandings than Hermione does.
Why is that? Did you say that was surprising?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
Because Hermione is the greatest witch of her age and still manages to get only an E on Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Yes, but the author is secretly sexist and doesn't want you to know it, so she doesn't mind writing female characters who adhere to female stereotypes, like getting distracted by boys that they like.
I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud just now?
You did, and
Oh
counterpoint,
my.
Percy is not Hermione's age, and therefore Hermione may be the cleverest witch of her age, but Percy is the cleverest wizard of his age.
Oh, you're taking it
so
by
therefore,
literal age number, not like age as in a big time period.
Yes.
I mean, they're not terribly, terribly far apart. And I mean, how do you even define age? Like, how do you even define generations?
Number of times around the sun.
Depending on... but
Yep.
fine. But depending on where you draw the generational line, you could probably make the case, if you wanted to, that Percy Weasley and Hermione Granger are in the same generation. But even then, if you're going to make a division between cleverest wizard of the age and cleverest witch of the age, who cares? What difference does it make? It does
Percy is
not
technically
matter.
Gen X. Hermione is just barely a millennial.
Just
Wait, no,
barely.
she's not, because Hermione's born September 1979, so Hermione is Gen X.
You're right.
Harry and Ron are millennials.
That's
You know
right.
what? All of those absurd names for generations that people use are Muggle concepts, and only Hermione would probably even be aware of them, so I don't think
Actually, they
apply to
come from astrology, so it's based in wizard understandings of the universe.
it. But do you think wizards use
Can I
them?
just point out?
No,
Do you
I'm
really
kidding.
think wizards
that's
are
also,
using terms
It's
like that?
100% made up, Jeff, just to mess around with you. Aurelia, what were you going to say?
Can I just point
Yeah.
out that we don't know the grading system, so maybe the grading works on this is the best one in the year, and then we,
So there's only
amend
one
the
outstanding.
scale.
Yeah, you don't get great. Yeah, I mean, that's what they always say, though, is that she's the cleverest witch of her age, but you don't get graded on cleverness. You get graded on tests, and tests have, like, concrete criteria. It's subjective based on the teacher, but still, you don't get graded.
Unless you're a velociraptor.
Okay.
Clever girl.
Okay.
Jo hadn't quite thought through, like, her OWL system when she informed us that people were getting 12 of them.
Yes.
Because it's very clear that, like, getting 12 outstanding OWLs is, like, like Dumbledorian levels of next level amazing. And in the first few books, she's like, oh yeah, he got 12 owls, he got 12 owls, he got 12 owls. And then once we actually thought about owls, we're like, nope, never mind. Hermione got 11, and that is amazeballs.
And also, you'd have to have a time turner.
Yeah, because
even
isn't
do that.
Hermione taking 12 subjects in Prisoner of Azkaban when she has her almost nervous breakdown? That's how many she's taking, right?
I thought she was taking 13.
No, she's taking 12. She's taking all 12 that Hogwarts offers.
Yeah.
And so then she only gets 10 OWLs, right?
No, she gets 9 because she drops divination. She drops divination. She drops Muggle studies.
Yeah.
She walks out. Yeah. So she
does
gets
the other
10
10. Yeah, she gets
outstandings
10.
and 1 exceeds expectations. So yeah, she has 11. So to have 12.
No. She can't have 11.
No.
She can't have 11. She has 9 outstandings and 1 exceeds expectations because she drops. Hogwarts offers 12 classes up through the 5th year. She drops 2 of them, Muggle Studies and divination, unless you can take an OWL, much like you can take an AP exam in the US, where you don't have to take the class, you can just take the exam, in which case then she might have gotten Muggle Studies.
No, I looked, Sam's right, I looked it up. She got 10 OWLs, 9 outstandings, and 1 exceeds expectations. Sam's right.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So she was only taking, she was taking 12 in the first place.
But
yes.
You know what number is actually 7? The amount that Harry and Ron get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Each.
Yes.
It does mean, though, that Crouch Jr. took Muggle Studies. Anyway.
Well, I mean, haven't we...
Oh my god, it does!
You know what, Barty Crouch Jr.,
God.
I think it's been expressed by other people on podcasts that Barty Crouch Jr. might actually be the cleverest and most able character. People have made that
well,
argument.
he's secretly Doctor Who, so I wouldn't see why that wasn't the case.
Yeah, Barty Crouch Jr., I mean, yeah, he went over to the dark side, and yeah, he did some really terrible things, but he was a genius.
Well, he's like 900 years old, and he flies around in a police box, so I get it.
I mean, if you go with that, he filmed Goblet of Fire before he became the Doctor. But hey, anyway.
So apparently when your soul gets sucked out, you become a doctor? Is that it?
Yeah,
and apparently before you become the, when
okay.
you become the Doctor, you have to, I mean, never mind. The Doctor has never been subtle, and neither is David Tennant as Barty Crouch. Never mind.
Slight plug. David Tennant should play Barty Crouch Sr., that's all I'm saying. He should play Barty Crouch Sr.
Yes.
That would be fun. I would enjoy that.
Yes, that would be amazing. But anyway, 7s, right? The number 7? Yeah, that thing.
We made it so far before we derailed.
Oh, dear. So Harry also pays 7 galleons for his wand. Yay!
Yay!
See, I might be thinking of something else. I thought it was 9. Am I thinking of something else?
You might be. I'm fairly sure it's 7, but I will double check that.
Okay. I swear I thought it was 9, but you know what? 7 also sounds right.
I mean, I'll look it up, because, I like to cite my sources.
Oh, I think it was his copy of his potions book that he gets in Half-Blood Prince.
Oh, it's 9 gallons.
I think maybe that's
they
the
cost
thing
9
that
gallons. They can't be mad about that. Yeah. Something like that.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. No, never mind.
Oh, yeah, here. Page 85, 7 gold galleons for his wand.
Lovely.
Okay, there we go.
Do you know why 7 is the most magical number?
Why?
Because 7, 8, 9.
I appreciate that you made that joke.
I had to at some point.
Yes, it had to happen.
I enjoyed that.
It did have to. Yeah. But actually, since you brought it up facetiously, but still, it is interesting that, 7 as sort of the overarching magical number, right? 7 years, 7 books, 7 7 all of that. 7
Weasley children.
They're all Horcruxes for Molly, by the way, just an FYI. That's the only reason why her clock works. It's because it tracks her Horcruxes.
I have no words for you.
Anyways, you were saying, Irvin, about the overarching theme of 7s.
No, I find it interesting. I can't think of another series that's sort of so wholeheartedly committed to the bit with, a certain number. Can you guys?
The Sound of Music, there were 7 children in that.
No, in terms of like actually like hammering into a numerical system this hard. I think that's what you're saying. Evan, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Like the fact that it is 7 years, that it is 7 books, that it is like 7 of everything.
I'm sure
Not
that there is a
comes
book
to
out there.
mind, but then again, arithmancy is all about numbers, and this is one of the only series that I know where that subject even comes up. Did they make that up, or was that a thing outside of the Harry Potter universe?
No, arithmancy is like an actual thing.
Arithmancy it's very much a thing. It's
Because this is the reason I ask is because this is the only time I've ever heard of it.
it's kind of like psychology almost, where you're taking like numbers and people's names and that kind of stuff, and like you reduce people's names to numbers and you're trying to glean what that says about them. Like it's kind of divination adjacent, but it's more psychology, I think.
Oh, sweet.
Interesting.
Yeah. I had a book, like, you know, the Muggle's Guide to Harry Potter, or whatever the it was, that, like, explained what all these subjects were in real life, and I got really into the arithmancy section. I was like, what does my name say about me? And I have absolutely no memory of what it said about me, but I was very excited at 10 years old.
Okay, cool. That's lovely and fantastic. Why don't we move on to the 7 Weasley children?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now, my immediate question about the 7 Weasley children, whom we love and enjoy, is, does the Weasley family become magically less powerful because now they're down one boy, right? We've got the 7 Weasley children, and now Fred's dead. Or did Fred have to die in order for Harry to be actually accepted into the family and have that 7 magical number protection, magic, strength, such? Build that family into the superpower that it is.
Sam Williams, you are a monster.
With that logic, then Harry and Ginny are siblings.
Correct.
Also, by that logic, no one else can marry into the family.
Aurelia, Harry's marriage is the biggest commentary on rural United States because Ginny is sister mother.
Yeah, okay, we're definitely getting a new Sam for this podcast. That's it.
Rural United States. Okay, you know what? This is thoroughly British, so okay, fine. Rural United States, whatever. Plus, you know what? Even if Fred had, you can look at it that way. Fine. There's still 7 of them, but you know, because obviously all of the other Weasley children can marry. Bill married Fleur, Percy married whoever, Fred married Angelina Johnson, Ron marries Hermione, Harry gets married to Ginny. So most of them get married except
Charlie
for
marries a
Charlie.
dragon.
Charlie marries a dragon.
Molly
Fine,
never
whatever.
accepts all the other spouses into her heart the same way she does Harry. Just look at the level of chocolate given to Hermione in Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, but Harry gets in on the ground floor and he has no parents. None of the other children that marry into the family are orphans or famous.
Therefore, Fred has to die in order for the 7 magical number to keep hold. Or else Harry
can
doesn't
look
get
at it that way if you want to.
People can marry into the Weasleys.
If you really have to look at it that way, then fine. After Fred dies, then yes, Harry takes his place and there are still 7 sons if gender identity is important to you.
It's not. But angering you is very important to me.
Oh man, I can't even be mad at that. That's a great comeback. Well done, Sam. This is why I have missed you so.
Do we think that it's a curse for the Weasleys that 7th time is the charm for a girl? You have to have 6 boys before you have a girl?
It's important to Molly, I think. It's not necessarily important to anybody else in the family, but it is obviously important to Molly because she does treat Ginny, I think, differently from the other children.
Wouldn't we need to know more about the rest of the extended? Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise it's a curse that only befalls this very family.
Yeah,
because we don't really... Do we find anything out extra canon about Arthur's siblings? Because I know Molly had Gideon and Fabian were her brothers and they died supposedly childless, so all of the offsprings of the Weasley family are on Molly and Arthur.
Yep.
Nope, other way around. So Arthur has brothers who are theoretically procreating with enthusiasm. Since, you know, Harry disguises himself as a random Weasley cousin at the wedding and no one bats an eye. So I know that Joe said that Ginny was the first girl born into the Weasley family in several generations. So it is a thing, like Arthur has hella brothers, but there haven't been a lot of girls until Ginny.
So it's just the X chromosome continues to be an issue.
Well, I think Jo was kind of playing around with the, like, seventh son of a seventh son bit, but, like, didn't actually want to commit to the bit. So she's like, yeah. It's like, you know, she's born seventh and it's a whole thing, but, like, it's not that
It's
serious.
certainly important to Ron that there's a seventh kiddo, because it comes up in his little locket thing. They're like, least loved of all your children, because, you know, it's a bunch of boys. And then it's Ginny, and then they finally stop having kids, and so I'm sure Ron's like, "Hey, so did you want me or did you want a girl?"
I mean, the answer's obvious.
I mean, it comes up when it might, you could argue that it's a thing that exists or that it's just inside Ron's head, but when Ron is facing the vision that comes out of the locket, the version of himself that he sees from Voldemort inside the locket says, "Least loved always by the mother who craved a daughter." That's the only really...
Yeah, oh, that's it, yeah. Yeah, but that's still, like, the little bit of legitimacy going on. I wonder if Ron's middle name has any indication here, because it's Ronald, I would have rather had a girl Weasley, and I just don't know if that is, that subtext is really hitting him or not.
It's bilious. Oh, I get it. You were... Okay. Okay, cheeky Sam. Gosh.
That's me. Cheeky Sam.
Yeah, we're changing your name, by the way. You're no longer Sam Williams. You're now Cheeky Sam.
Cheeky Sam. It'd be really good
It
for
has a
branding.
ring
That
to
is
it. I like
that is
it.
how we expect you to introduce yourself now.
Yeah, it's 2023. You have to brand yourself these days. That's how it works.
Lovely.
Talk of cheeky fellas, Fred and George, with their cheeky canary creams, charge 7 sickles for them.
They do.
Wonderful alliteration there.
I've been in this fandom for years. I still don't have a handle on how they do money. Is 7 sickles, is that a fair price, do you guys think? I think it's probably fair, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's about $1.50. So
Okay, then I can. I mean, they'd be doing it in British pounds, right?
yeah, so it's about £1.
Okay, then about £1 for a canary cream. Yeah, I could see that.
It's about £1 pre-Brexit. Post-Brexit is about £6.
I'm laughing so I don't have to cry.
It's a pound in the
man.
1990s. Okay, so we can get out our inflation calculators and figure this out.
That's just the rest of the episode is just typing noises from Irvin. It's like, I didn't think I'd have to do taxes
Sam,
today.
do you think I need a full episode to do that?
Yeah, Sam, we should probably just
you
take a step
insult
back
me.
now because Irvin is the accountant, but Aurelia is the one that lives in the UK.
I'm just crying.
Yep. So, for example, if we do £1 in, 1994 to 2003, that is going to be £2.50.
Shuffle me off this mortal coil.
All you have to do is ask.
Lovely. Somebody has a note in here about 700 galleons in Prison of Azkaban. Irvin, you want to take that?
Yes.
700
Yeah,
What?
so,
The Daily Prophet
in
Grand Prize
Prisoner of
draw.
Azkaban, when the Weasleys win the Daily Prophet Grand Prize and blow it all on a vacation to Egypt, they win 700 galleons exactly. And I can now tell you that would be 1,824 pounds today.
Oh, yeah, I
I
forgot
like
about
that you
that.
very, very subtly judged them by blowing it all on a trip to Egypt.
I mean, I'm just saying, if they can't afford robes for their kids or textbooks, maybe, don't fly business class. I'm just
They
saying.
don't blow it all on it. Ron gets his wand. They buy Ron a new wand.
Yeah, I used to think that, too. I used to think if you get that much
Yes,
money...
but Ginny also has 7 years of Hogwarts left. Ron has 6 years of Hogwarts left. they're gonna break a few more wands.
True, but they don't get to see Bill very often. They never get to go on holiday. And, like, the older I get and the closer I get to parenthood, like, I can understand that impulse. You want to, just once, you want to be able to say you took the family on a great holiday and you took them abroad and you exposed them to other cultures and you showed them a good time. Like, I get it. Like, younger me didn't get it as much, but the older I get, I get it.
You can apparate, though. They could set up a portkey with the ministry and just go to Egypt for a day and then go home. Like, they don't have to spend money on this trip.
They have to spend some money on it.
I mean, they need to spend money on accommodation, on food.
They don't have to spend any money on accommodation or food. You can apparate your kids home and eat at home.
You cannot apparate across continents every night to sleep in your own bed.
You don't know that.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Apparition across distances is very hard, let alone with a brood of 6 kids.
Based off of what textual analysis?
They could just take the tens.
They could just take the
You know what?
tens.
Physically, I think apparating takes too much out of you, especially the younger and less substance you have and the less magical energy you've generated. So no, I say no. Don't do that to your children. Don't.
You'd also have to side apparate like multiple times.
Or get a portkey set up every day. Morning and night.
Yeah, but we don't know how much that costs the ministry to do. I don't
Buy
think
a flying
the ministry
carpet.
would. They are still banned in Britain.
Has that stopped Arthur Weasley from doing anything? They've got a flying car.
True.
Had a flying car. Had. By the time we get to Prisoner of Azkaban, no, they don't have a flying
maybe that
car.
was the plan.
That was the plan.
Maybe that was the plan.
I was going to take you guys on a nice
fly the
vacation.
Fort Anglia to Egypt. That's it.
By the way, Irvin, Ginny only had 6 years of Hogwarts. Ron only had 5. This is right before prison.
Fine. Fair enough.
That changes everything.
There were still plenty of years at Hogwarts left to pay for.
Plus, they should have just used Scabbers to everyone could have just fit on him. Just shrink down and have the rat walk you to Egypt.
Oh, dear.
I feel like we need to apologize for how this episode is going.
I stand by my ludicrousness.
Yes, and for the remaining 8 hours of this episode that you have left to listen to.
Good. Bogart. We've got a Bogart in charge of the desk, Aurelia, somewhere?
Yes. So that is in Order to Phoenix, when they're in the House of Black. There is a Bogart, and Mrs. Weasley goes up to face it, and it changes 7 times to reflect her worst fears, which is dead, Ron, Bill, Mr. Weasley, Fred and George, Percy and Harry.
But not Fred and George dead separately, which is extra sad.
Yeah. I think that was a fake out from Jo. She's like, surely none of you can conceive of one of the twins dying.
Yeah, for real.
Even their own mother can't.
Yeah.
Talk of death. Let's talk about Voldemort.
Who famously has 7 Horcruxes.
He does.
Yes, and also famously tells us the reason that we're having this podcast episode.
I mean, for instance, isn't 7 the most
Powerfully magical number?
Wouldn't 7... My God, Tom, 7 times.
Yeah. It's interesting because that's never brought up again. Like, we never, again, hear that, 7 is powerfully magical, so you should, do something with that information.
Well, maybe you would have to take arithmancy to learn this, and Harry doesn't take that subject.
Yeah, we're limited by the fact that our main character is an idiot.
But Hermione took arithmancy, so Hermione would have been like, we should set up 7 tents, because that would make it a powerful circle of protection, or something.
But, I mean, for all we know, Hermione tried to tell them, and Harry and Ron were just like, blah, 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 boring.
Again, we're
Let's talk
limited
about Quidditch.
by the fact that our main character is an idiot.
Yeah, I did list all the 7 Horcruxes. I do believe everyone should probably know. It's Tom Riddle's diary, Marvologon's ring, Helga Hufflepuff's cup, Salazar Slytherin's locket, Rowena Ravenclaw's diadem, Nagini the snake, Harry, and then Voldemort himself. Or the
Slash Quirrell. At one point he's Quirrell and Voldy.
Yeah.
Can I point something out to you? That's actually 8.
Well,
Yeah.
it's 7 Horcruxes
I was about to
plus
say.
Voldy.
Yeah.
He intended for a 7-part soul, but He got a bonus soul, which maybe that's what made the Horcruxes so very destroyable, is the fact that, he overshot by one.
And somehow that checks out, because for as skilled and intelligent and conniving as he is, it also makes sense that Voldemort would overlook at least one incredibly crucial detail and stretching himself too thin, because we know he goes beyond the bounds of usual evil. I think those words come up in the text at some point, but it makes sense that he would be so caught up in his plan for immortality that he would overlook something that important.
Well, there's also the irony, right? Which is that Voldemort had achieved a 7-part soul, but didn't realize it. Because Harry actually became his 7th part of the soul because he hadn't made Nagini into a Horcrux yet. So if he had just stopped...
Not made Nagini.
No, actually, because by the time he made Nagini, the diary was destroyed. So Nagini once again made a 7-part soul.
Do we know?
So, okay, I take that back.
Do we know canonically when... Oh, interesting. So, when we go into... Well, okay, but even when we go into Deathly Hallows, the ring has also been destroyed, so he's also not succeeding that way. So the only time that he has a 7-part soul...
So he has a 7-part soul between...
is when he accidentally creates Harry.
Between creating Harry and when the diary's destroyed, and then once again when he creates Nagini before the ring is destroyed. Both of those times he has a 7-part soul.
Cool.
But I found a cool one. So, Slytherin's Locket, which is kind of, the Horcrux with top billing at the end of the series, it changes ownership 7 times throughout the series. Ooh. So, originally it goes from Merope Gaunt to Caractacus Burke. She sells it for, 10 galleons. Burke sells it to Hepzibah Smith for many, many more galleons than 10. It's stolen from Hepzibah Smith by Tom Riddle. Tom leaves it in the cave, but then it's taken by Creature. Well, and Regulus for, the 5 minutes he's alive. Then it's stolen from Creature by Mundungus Fletcher. Then Mundungus Fletcher has to give it to Umbridge as a bribe, and it's stolen from Umbridge by the trio, and that makes 7.
Wow. That is some incredible detective work.
Thank you very much. Like I say...
that is impressive.
I've written a lot about the 7s in the series. I've dived deep.
No doubt.
And also, when I was in high school, I won a contest at the local library to write a poem about Harry Potter by writing a very long quatrain about, the Slytherin Locket's tortured history. And sure enough, I did win. I won an MP3 player, I think.
Nice.
Which tells you how long ago this was. So yes, Slytherin's Locket has always been at the forefront of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely.
That's a really good one, though.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I got another one for Voldemort, though. There are 7 murders that he commits that Harry actually witnesses through their telepathic connection. Obviously, Voldemort has killed many, many more than 7 people, but the ones Harry gets to see are Frank Bryce in Goblet of Fire. Then in Deathly Hallows, when he goes on his little quest, the German family, that, Voldemort is trying to find Grigorovich, and he kills the family. Then Grigorovich himself. Then Grindelwald.
Poor Colin Farrell. Johnny Depp. Lars Mikkelsen. Yeah. Oops.
Oh, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? You know what? Farrell. I'm a Speak BC host, and I'm here to tell you, nobody cares anymore.
Yeah. Then there's the Goblin, who tells Voldemort about the Gringotts robbery, and the messenger does get shot.
Poor Gringotts.
There's Severus Snape during the Battle of Hogwarts, and we also see Voldemort killing the Potters in the flashback after the Godric's Hollow debacle.
So we're not counting number of people who were murdered. We're talking about number of instances of murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then that fits. Yeah.
Yes,
that fits.
Yes, some are multiple murders, but yeah, 7 separate instances of murdering.
Okay.
Like I say, I've written a lot about this. So there are 7 times Harry and Voldemort face off throughout the text. In Order of the Phoenix, we get this bit of like, well, your parents and Neville's parents thrice defied him, but you're up to 4, so extra credit for you. And then we kind of stop counting, but there are actually 7 proper battles between Harry and Voldemort, and that is what my first essay on the subject called The 7 Battles was about. So they are the climax of Sorcerer's Stone, the climax of Chamber of Secrets, the climax of Goblet of Fire, the climax of Order of the Phoenix, that gets us to 4, and then in Deathly Hallows, there's 3 more, the Battle of the 7 Potters, Godric's Hollow, and the Battle of Hogwarts.
Fascinating.
Yes. But there's more, because each of these 7 battles has a set of 7 attached to them. We can just keep diving. So, for example, in Sorcerer's Stone, there are the 7 obstacles, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Hold that thought. In Chamber of Secrets, we have 7 victims of Tom Riddle / the Basilisk leading up to the climax. There's Mrs. Norris, Colin Creevey, Justin Finch Fletchley, Nearly Headless Nick, Hermione, Penelope Clearwater, and Ginny. In Goblet of Fire, there are actually 7 sets of 7! Again, we can keep going. Like, if you want to dive into 7s of the series, there's just keep going down the rabbit hole. So, we're going to get into all 7 sets of 7 for Goblet of Fire. But one to start us off, there are 7 spells that Voldemort uses throughout the battle. So he casts a Crucio on Avery. He makes Wormtail's hand, fancy. He casts 3 Crucios at Harry. The first 2 hit, and Harry dodges the 3rd. Then he makes Harry bow, and he casts an Imperious Curse on Harry. So, there's your 7.
What about when Prior Incantatem, you know what I'm talking about. What happened? That's a 8th one.
Touche. I guess that spell doesn't actually get cast. It
gets cast because they have to meet midair. Like, it comes out of the wand. It just doesn't land, but also the 3rd Crucio doesn't land.
Yeah, okay, 7.5 spells.
I'll give you the half point.
Order of the Phoenix. We have 7 rooms in the Department of Mysteries that they run through during that battle. We're going to discuss that one later as well. There's the Battle of the 7 Potters with, in the name, 7 Potters. Yeah. It's still so dumb. It is so very dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Godric's Hollow. This one I had to work at a little, but we have 7 deaths leading up to the events at Godric's Hollow. We have Lily, James, Bathilda Bagshot, Kendra and Ariana Dumbledore, Ignatus Peverell, because he's on the headstone, we find out about the Deathly Hallows and all that. And there's Voldemort himself, sorta kinda, in, 1981 when the curse rebounds on him.
That one's a little bit fudgy, but I've got a couple points later on.
Oh, I know.
It's okay. Like, I will accept that if for no other reason than because later on in the discussion, I was determined to find at least one instance of the number 7 in the 7th chapter of every one of the 7 books, and some of them are a little bit fudgier than others, so I'll accept that.
You could sub in Valdi's death for their cat's death.
No, the cat survived. We don't know that it died.
Yeah, nobody, because
we don't know if it died or not.
Because this is a series that relies very heavily on things that are definitely established. So no body, no crime.
But also, have you met cats? Like, they survive.
Cats are way Look, Crookshanks is here to teach us that cats are way more resourceful than humans in this series.
I guess you could say Hedwig then. You just sub in Hedwig's death. Somehow it leads up to this battle.
It doesn't feel like all of these
but
other...
she didn't die at Godric's Hollow.
Yeah, all of these other deaths feel directly connected to Godric's Hollow. Hedwig's doesn't quite.
I'm not being serious.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's kind of fun, right? Like, there are the really, really obvious 7s, sort of the in-your-face ones, but I actually kind of find it fun to, look for 7s, just go seeking them out and being like, we can make a set of 7 here. Like, if we tweak definitions and parameters enough.
7 times Fleur Delacour annoys Molly Weasley.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's a fun exercise to do with the books. So, in that same spirit... Battle of Hogwarts, so it's all about wands, right? It's who owns which wand, who's the master of what wand, and all that. So Harry actually uses 7 wands in Deathly Hallows, leading up to the Battle of Hogwarts. So he uses his own until, he can't anymore. He uses Hermione's wand. Then when Ron comes back, Ron has a Blackthorn wand from a Snatcher that Harry begins using. He uses the Elder Wand to fix his own at the end of the book. And he uses 3 wands at Malfoy Manor. And, I had to do a very close read to figure this out. But basically, we have Bellatrix's wand, Wormtail's wand, and Draco's wand. So, initially, Ron grabs Pettigrew's wand, disarms Bellatrix, and Harry grabs Bellatrix's wand. Then Bellatrix threatens them, gets the wands back, gives them to Draco. Harry wrestles the 3 wands, Bellatrix, Draco, and Wormtail's wand from Draco. Harry wrestles them, and then he takes all 3 and casts a stunning spell at Greyback. So he did technically use Wormtail's and Bellatrix's wand. So that's your 7.
Fascinating. That was an excellent find.
Thank you. I've spent a lot of time reading over the Malfoy Manor scene for several purposes, and God, I love that bit.
It's a great scene. One of the best in Deathly Hallows.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So with that in mind, let's just go through the books and see what 7s we can find.
Aurelia, explain to us the 7 obstacles obtaining the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yes, so in order, we find Fluffy the dog. We then hit the Devil's Snare. We have to catch flying keys, 1 flying key. Play across the chess game. Find an already, was his stunned troll. Do potion riddles. And then last but not least, the Mirror of Erised.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a case to be made that this is a foreshadowing for the full series, but we may run out of time.
So I've made that case. It's sort of what began this whole breaking down the books thing for me. It's on Muggle, it's called 7 Obstacles for 7 Books, and it's kind of been a perennial favorite. I keep hearing people referencing it years and years and years later. So listeners, you can go read that and let us know if you want us to talk about all the foreshadowing with these 7 obstacles, because I think it's easily its own episode. But we can zero in on one of the obstacles. Snape's potions riddle. There are 7 potions.
Yep.
Of course. And so the potions riddle is 3 poisons, 2 nettle wines, 1 that takes you forward to danger, and 1 back to safety. So I really like that as a rubric to analyze these sets of 7s, sort of try to figure out which ones are the wines, which ones are the poisons, and I'm not going to lie, this involves a lot of stretching, but it's interesting to think about the 7s in a 3-2-1-1 pattern and see how they break down. So we can do that on occasion, and if you want to see all the stretching, I encourage you to read all the essays.
I do want to ask one question. Do you think it's interesting that there are more poisons than anything else, or do you think it might not have been wiser to make 3 nettle wines, 2 poisons, 1 that takes you forward, 1 that takes you back?
I think it's Snape, so he still has a penchant for darkness, and so he's always going to have the poisons be populous so that you have a biggest percentage of death over anything else.
Yeah, I agree. I think for Snape's whole aesthetic, you need a plurality of poisons.
And do we know for absolute certain that poison equals death, not poison equals, say, paralysis or just incapacitation?
We do. It says.
Because
it says 3 among our number hold death in their insides. Yeah.
Well, it almost reminds me in a way of the protection surrounding the locket from Half-Blood Prince. I know they're not connected by ring theory or anything, but it reminds me of that because Dumbledore makes the point in Half-Blood Prince that Voldemort would have wanted to keep the perpetrator alive long enough to question them about how they found out about it and how they got to it. So it makes kind of sense to me that Snape and Dumbledore working together would have wanted to incapacitate any perpetrators, but not necessarily kill them. I can't believe that Dumbledore would sign off on that.
disagree on two accounts. First of all, Dumbledore and Snape's style is very different from Voldemort's, which, like, I think this is actually indicative of that. Second of all, anyone too stupid to solve the potions riddle, Dumbledore and Snape don't need to keep alive for interrogation.
Yeah. It's a fairly easy riddle for an adult. And this is part of the worry here, right? Is that if Dumbledore is actually sort of setting up this gauntlet to test Harry's merit, then the fact that Snape has 3 poisons, and okay, so let's think for a second. These are 11-year-olds. They are way more susceptible to die via any poison, regardless of its intent for a full-grown human person. So it's very problematic that Snape has 3 poisons in here for what is essentially supposed to be testing Harry. And if Harry doesn't bring Hermione along, most likely Harry is dead.
Well, yes, but the design is for him to bring Ron and Hermione along.
Yeah. Still
Like,
problematic that they put
I think
literal poison down there, though. Because even if it's supposed to just incapacitate, like, a person like Quirrell, most likely it will wreak havoc on the children's immune system and kill them.
Okay, I'm just saying, they put Devil's Snare down there.
Yeah, and
I feel
Fluffy. Like, how many people actually know that you can play music for a 3-headed dog and it'll fall asleep? How many people have that knowledge?
Yeah, those things are a lot deadlier than the potions riddle, because, again, it's not that hard a riddle.
Oh, has this, Irvin, you're well up on essays on this kind of thing. Has anybody ever actually tried to rank in order how dangerous these obstacles are guarding this Sorcerer's Stone?
We should do that on the other podcast. If we do talk about how they each foreshadow, we should do a ranking.
Yeah, sure. I haven't seen anyone. I mean, I'm sure there's, like, a BuzzFeed listicle somewhere about it.
Probably.
But yeah, like, it's weird because you're grading on a curve, right? Because, like, you can't rank how dangerous they would be to a random student because they are designed for the trio.
Yeah, like the chess set represents, conflict, battle, strategy. Some people don't have that skill. Some people are more afraid of being suffocated by, say, a giant plant. Some people are more afraid of enormous beasts like a 3-headed dog. So that kind of thing might be a little bit more subjective, trying to rank how dangerous they are, just depending on your skill set. But we're talking about 11-year-olds here.
Yeah.
For most 11-year-olds, I would say a lot of those things are probably maybe not necessarily on completely equal footing, but they're probably a lot closer than they are for a lot of adults.
My headcanon has it that McGonagall's is the only actual, like, appropriate challenge, because I'm fairly sure, again, this is only headcanon, literal children come in and the chess pieces will play a game. But if an actual adult came in, I'm fairly sure they would all just try and murder him, which is why Quirrell just apparates to the other side of the room. I'm kidding. I know that's not impossible. All of this is a joke. But that's my headcanon, is that the chess pieces actually tried to kill Quirrell versus they just wanted to have fun with Harry, Ron, and Hermione and got a little overzealous.
See, whereas my headcanon is that Quirrell had to practice really hard to get good at chess, so he played chess games against Voldemort all year.
With a mirror.
Trying to figure out
So that
strategy.
Voldemort could see the chessboard.
Who went and fed the troll for a year? And did said person, if it's not a house elf who can sort of circumvent all of this, which again, that would have been, why didn't you just use a house elf?
They
in the
just
first
fed
place?
house elves to the troll.
Ooh, I have an answer.
What?
Magic.
Well, great. But
You can't create food, you can magically transport food.
What do trolls even eat?
House elves.
No!
Aurelia, sorry, go ahead.
How very dare you? No.
I'm sorry. I've derailed Aurelia's point. Aurelia, please continue.
well, my point wasn't really serious either. I was like, my headcanon is McGonagall, like, once a week goes down to feed the troll because she's like, oh, I get to do a little bit of flying, I get to play a bit of chess.
Yeah, it's fun for her.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
But yeah, if ever a Harry Potter musical is restaged during, like, Two of a Kind or whatever that song is, I want to see them playing chess against
That
each
sounds
other.
great.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Different as can be. That's the song.
Different as can be.
Different as can be.
I love that song.
Me too. But right, the potions riddle. So, because these obstacles foreshadow what's coming in their respective books, the, like, potions, poisons, and all of that in the potions riddle show up again in Half-Blood Prince in chronological order based on the solution to the riddle. So the riddle's been solved. There's an essay over at the lexicon showing like what the solution is. So if going by internal chronology, not like, the way we read them, but the way they happen, we see all of these in Half-Blood Prince. So first up is poison, because Hokey is accused of putting poison in Hepzibah's tea, which is how Tom Riddle gets away with the murder. Precisely. Then is the wine, and we see Snape drinking elf-made wine with Narcissa and Bellatrix in Spinner's End.
Dun.
Thank you. We have Felix Felicis, which, rather like the potion, moves Harry forward on his quest to defeat Voldemort, which is moving forward towards danger.
That doesn't get a dun.
No dun?
Because it's good. It's good.
Fine, I'll take it. Next up is another poison, and we see Slughorn teaching Galtblot's third law in potions class, where you have to, to find an antidote to a blended poison, you need something more than the sum of the ingredient of the respective antidotes to each poison, which I'm like, how can Harry not understand this? This is such a simple concept. Anyway.
Or a bezoar.
Yeah.
Or a bourgeois.
Talk of Bezoars, the third poison. Ron is poisoned by Slughorn's mead on Ron's birthday. It is a very bad birthday for him.
The worst birthday.
Then we have wine, which Slughorn and Hagrid drink copious amounts of at Aragog's
Big
funeral.
old cheers. Lots of cheers. Dead spider, everybody.
I mean, cheers to dead spiders.
It's only one dead spider.
Yes, but that's better
Spiders
than no dead spiders.
do not bother me as much as they used to, but if I saw a spider that big with, like, the legs curling in, no. I would need a lot of wine to deal with that, too.
And, last but not least, a potion to take you back. And we have the potion in the cave that acts as a huge setback for Harry and Dumbledore, because, it drains all of Dumbledore's strength, and it's a whole thing.
Dun.
And thank you very much. So that's the 7 I found. Jeff, what did you find in the 7th chapter of Sorcerer's Stone?
Well, I mentioned earlier, I think, that I tried to find at least one instance of the number 7 in the 7th chapter of every book in the series, and the 7th chapter of Philosopher's Stone is titled The Sorting Hat, and in this one, it's a little bit fudgy, but I figured out that the first years encounter 7 what I would call important characters or figures of authority. There's McGonagall, who tells them how the sorting is going to go, and she's the deputy headmistress, so definitely important. There's Mr. Fryer and Sir Nicholas, 2 of the house ghosts, and I think they represent kind of a dichotomy of ghosts, because one is very friendly, very happy, very glad to be there, but Sir Nicholas has kind of like strings attached, because he's happy to be a Gryffindor ghost, but also not super happy, kind of gloomy. There's the Sorting Hat, who decides which house they go into. There's Dumbledore. I mean, come on. He's Dumbledore. There's Percy, who is a prefect and kind of represents that bridge between teachers and students. And then there's Peeves, who's just this spirit of chaos, and he's
an authority on mischief.
Yes.
Exactly. He's not an authority on authority. He's an authority on just messing stuff up and keeping you on your toes.
He's an authority on anti-disestablishmentarianism.
There you go. That's a good one. I like that.
I love the fact that the Sorting Hat is an authority. That thing is so hell-bent on just being an authority on who goes where.
Well, yeah. And I mean, it decides which house they're going to go into. In a sense, it predetermines assumptions about their personality, their identity at the age of 11. It decides who they're going to lodge with, so who their immediate peers are. It also has an effect on what their class schedule is going to be. So yeah, I'd call that an authority figure.
Oh no, absolutely.
Agreed. Excellent find, Jeff.
Thank you.
Honestly, I wonder if we should attempt that on our chapter episodes, just to find a set of 7 in every chapter we look at, because I'm sure if we stretch hard enough, we can.
You probably could.
7 uses of the word but.
Wait, but what does that have to do with anything?
Everything.
Butts are everything, Irvin.
Okay, nicely phrased.
There's your title. Butts are everything, Irvin. Oh, gosh.
Oh, our podcast is going to come up on some weird searches if we use that title.
We are not winning
Right.
the SEO war with that one.
Oh, boy.
All right. So, moving on to Chamber of Secrets. We already talked about the 7 victims, plus the bonus one that belongs on an R-rated podcast. Mm-hmm. So what other 7s can we find in Chamber of Secrets?
I found 3, and other people may have found others, but the first one that I found is, I remember it's a movieism, but Snape says that when Harry and Ron stole the Ford Anglia, they were seen by no less than 7 muggles. That's a movieism, because in the books it says 6 or 7 muggles in all, so it's a little bit more loose in the books.
Which is honestly surprising in and of itself.
Very true.
The fact that we were so close to getting a 7, but Joe didn't commit, it's very weird.
It's a very ambivalent 7, but it's a 7 notwithstanding. There are 7 books by Gilderoy Lockhart, and every Hogwarts student is required to purchase them, which I consider highly significant because, I mean, you could have also done it to where each year covers a different book, because that's typically the way it's done. You get, like, at most, you get a standard book of spells grade whatever each year. If you move up to, say, the next level of advancement in a subject, you might get intermediate or advanced transfiguration or potions or herbology, but he makes each student get 7 books.
Because he's a hack.
Yeah.
So Gilderoy Lockhart.
Exactly, because he's
but also college professors do that all the time here in the U.S.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
also very true.
Write books and make all the students buy them.
Yeah, and you know what? They're self-serving hacks too, because I had a professor who taught us 20th century musical theory analysis, and yeah, pretty much every topic we covered, he used his own academic writing, but he didn't make us buy anything. He gave us free copies of all the papers he wrote where he composed pieces that illustrated the things he wanted us to learn. He didn't make us buy crap. So yeah, he was a little bit
Gilderoy
self-serving in
Lockhart
that regard, but at the same time, he wasn't trying to do it for
soulless.
money. Yeah, exactly.
Gilderoy Lockhart is the only person that we know who's had his soul sucked out by a Dementor and is still as intelligent.
Sure, because he tracks down people, he judges them based on their physical appearance, he commits assault because they are, in his eyes, ugly, and then he takes credit for what they've done and publishes a book about it. Don't get me started on him.
But also, he's he was a Ravenclaw, and what I think happens is he sees
He's a disgrace
correct
to the name
but
of
he
Ravenclaw.
is also a Ravenclaw, and I
Ravenclaws
think that
are
he
wonderful.
can see.
Also, I do not accept that bit of apocrypha. I'm sorry, he's not a Ravenclaw. That makes no
He's
damn
100%
sense.
a Ravenclaw, and
He's got to be one of the 4. If he's not a Ravenclaw, what is he?
Slytherin. Ambition, glory, any means to achieve his
correct, but
ends.
he's
I can
also
buy
very
that.
smart about it.
Textbook Slytherin.
I can buy that he's a Slytherin. I can buy that.
Not all evil characters have to be in Slytherin.
I'm aware. I have argued for years that other evil characters are in Slytherin, but Lockhart so obviously is.
So-
Yeah, the way this author writes this series, brilliant though she may be in other areas, she makes obvious things incredibly obvious. Bad guys go in the bad guy house, heroes go in the hero house. She makes it easy for the
will
readers.
quote Albus Dumbledore when he says, "Sometimes I think we sort too early." We don't know what Lockhart was like before he was, when he was 11, and what he was like when he got sorted.
He does, but the author clearly does not.
Okay. My point being, as a Ravenclaw, I think that he can see pattern recognition and knows that this might be just a 1-year deal, and so he just makes everybody buy all books, which is why he does that instead of having them just do, oh, hey, 5th year, we're going to go over this. 6th year, we're going to go over that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seconded.
Anyway, then the last use of 7 that I found in Chamber of Secrets was in the 7th chapter, Mudbloods and Murmurs. We learned that Malfoy has been made the 7th member of the Slytherin Quidditch team in an atypical fashion, which is similar to the previous book where Harry was also made the 7th member of his house Quidditch team in an atypical fashion, because neither of them had to try out. Or if you're a theater kid, audition. They just became a member of the team because of reasons.
Well, Draco did a tryout with Harry for Harry. It was just not staged like that.
Sure. No, actually, that's an interesting point. He was an important part in Harry's being made part of the Quidditch team. That's something that I think gets overlooked sometimes, so I'm actually glad you pointed that out.
Okay.
Cool.
Love it. So, Prisoner of Azkaban. So there's the clear one, which is the 7 secret passages in and out of Hogwarts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Filch knows about 4. One's caved in. One has the Whomping Willow planted over the top of it. And then there's the one useful one from the one-eyed... this is something I find interesting. The use of... I swear, Fred and George call it the one-eyed crone statue, but it's referred to as the one-eyed witch statue the rest of the time. Am I right about that?
Correct.
I feel like I'm right about that.
I only know One Eye Witch.
Okay, it's okay. We can call it the One-Eyed Witch statue. It's okay. But it goes from the One-Eyed Witch statue to the Cellar of Honeydukes and then back the other way, obviously. But it's the only passage that's useful. The other 4 or the other 6, they can't do anything with.
Well, I mean, they do plenty with the Whomping Willow passage later.
Well, it's true. They do. That one actually, I would, you know what? Actually, I would like to put that thing down, flip it and reverse it and say that one actually becomes much more significant, the passage that has the Whomping Willow over the top of it, because a lot more important plot stuff happens in the Shrieking Shack.
Yeah. Also, you're right. They only do refer to it as the crone, but I guess that's sort of Fred and George's preferred turn of phrase. Like, Harry and Ron, Hermione, the narration all use witch, whereas Fred and George, for whatever reason, feel like being descriptive and use crone.
I'm honestly not sure if I'm misremembering, but I'm almost certain that the British versions say witch.
Oh.
See, I don't remember. I've heard the English version audio narrations by Stephen Fry, but I don't recall.
I mean, I control F'd my Prisoner of Azkaban, and yeah, crone only shows up the one time when the twins tell Harry about it.
Okay, fair enough. And then the other instance of the number 7 that I found in Prisoner of Azkaban is in, like I said, in the 7th chapter, which in this one is the boggart in the wardrobe. There are 7 people who stand ready to face the boggart, and I put asterisks in this one because I thought this one was interesting. So Neville faces the boggart first, and then Parvati faces the mummy, Seamus faces the banshee, Dean faces the hand that's severed, Ron faces the giant spider, and then this is where it gets interesting. You could say Harry doesn't actually face the boggart, but he does stand ready to face the boggart, and then you have Lupin stepping in to face the boggart. So the reason I put asterisks in is if we aren't counting Harry, Neville still stepped in to fight the boggart twice, so that still gives you 7. But if we're not counting doubles, and we're willing to count people who were willing to step up and do it, Harry did at least step up before Lupin stepped in front of him. And it is a movieism, but in the movie Prisoner of Azkaban, the boggart does turn into a Dementor before Lupin steps in.
Jeff, sorry to push back,
What's
but
up?
Actually more people do face the boggart. We just don't know who they are.
Okay, so we still, these are the 7 we get, those are the ones we get by name.
We get by name. Fair enough.
Yeah. Because between Seamus and Dean, we get a rat which chased its tail in a circle, a rattlesnake which slithered and writhed, and then a single bloody eyeball.
That I didn't see. That I didn't interpret as other students facing the boggart. That I interpreted as just the boggart starting to become confused and not knowing what to turn into.
No. I think it is, because it turns into them and then it crack, which is the indicator Joe uses to say that, like, someone casts ridiculous and it's changing shape.
Also, as a fan fiction author and a person who's currently working on a shipping album, I feel compelled to say you said something came between Seamus and Dean. Nothing comes between Seamus and Dean.
Touche.
Couldn't help myself. No, but you're right. There probably were other students, but those are the ones that are specifically mentioned by name in that chapter.
Yeah. Oh, no, for plenty of these, I have used the qualifier named to get a set of 7, so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Totally there with you.
Mm-hmm.
Goblet of Fire time. Aurelia, take it away.
Yeah.
So, we have the 7 obstacles that stand between Harry and the Triwizard Cup. I can see that Irvin and I have different opinions on this, so... I counted from like the first task, but I think Irvin, you counted only in the third task, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2 sets of 7. I mean, if you overlap them.
Well, because I argue that Oreo missed one. Unless you can find a way to qualify it to get to the 7, including the Acromantula.
I mean, you could argue that Crumb isn't supposed to be...
Oh, non-human obstacles.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. All right, so 7 non-human obstacles that stand between Harry and the Triwizard.
I love that one of them is just water.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Dragon, Dementor, giant spider, water.
And that's the one that trips Harry up the
for
most.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, but let's hear him before we discuss him.
So the first task is the dragon one. The second task is the water one, so where he has to go into the Black Lake. And then in the maze, because arguably that's the best of the tasks, he has to face several non-human obstacles. So it's Dementor. It's that golden mist thingy that turns everything upside down. It's everyone's favorite beast, the Scroots, the blast-ended Scroots. Then the Acromantula and the Sphinx.
You know, best task from whose perspective? Because if you get a little magical camera like we all did over Harry's shoulder, it's an awesome task. The third and second tasks stink beyond high heaven for the people watching.
Yeah, for spectators, definitely first task, best task, and it all goes from there.
Yeah.
Downhill.
Can you
from
imagine
there.
being that excited about, we get to watch the Triwizard Tournament, this is going to be great, and then the first task is like beyond amazing to watch, and then the next 2 tasks you're like, oh, okay, they're going in the lake. For how long?
We're looking at a
An
lake.
hour?
That's why.
Looking at a
That kinda
lake.
sucks.
That's why the year 4, like Irvin, back me up on this. Isn't that why the year 4 sequence from Puffs is one of the most hilarious like parts of the entire play? Like
it is
when they get to
amazing.
the second task.
It's one of the best uses of silence for comedic effect I think I've ever seen in theater, because all the Puffs get together, they're ready to cheer Cedric on at the second task. Wayne is so invested in it, and then they dive underwater, and then you're just looking at all the Puffs on stage looking so excited, and the silence spirals, and then they're like, we're looking at a
One
lake.
of them says, "Oh, I thought I saw something. I did not."
Oh, that's
Sally.
Sally Ann Perks.
Yes, because Leanne says, "I went swimming in a lake once and I almost drowned because I got thirsty."
Yeah, no, like that. I saw Puffs 24 times, and I never failed to just laugh my ass off at that scene.
Ah, man, they really they nailed down like everything about that tournament that made absolutely no sense at all. They nailed it.
Yep. If we're doing 7s with tasks, I'm gonna say that there are actually 7 obstacles in the maze, counting humans.
Mm-hmm.
And here we can actually use the rubric of 3 poisons, 2 wines, and all that very effectively, I think. So we have 3 poisons as the 3 lethal creatures in the maze. We have the Acromantula, the Sphinx, and the giant blast-ended Scroot. Admittedly, the Sphinx is only deadly if you get the riddle wrong, but, you know, Harry's odds, I feel like we count it as deadly. We have the 2 nettle wines, which are the tasks that sort of, you know, don't bother Harry, and, like, you know, that Crouch Jr. left in the maze, because he's like, yeah, no, Harry will be fine. Which is the Boggart, because Harry's like, oh, Boggart, know that. And the Golden Mist, where all you have to do is keep walking. The forward potion, you know, the one that takes Harry forward into danger to face Voldemort, is, of course, Cedric. The rival who, you know, is very much an obstacle for Harry until he, you know, becomes not an obstacle and then becomes dead. And then that makes the backwards potion the Imperious Crumb. And there's actually even a lot of language in the text about how Crumb crept up from behind Cedric, how Victor was actually hit in the back with the Imperious Curse, and so on. So that's the 7 I chose to take away from the Triwizard test.
Now, does anybody actually know, like, if you face a boggart and you aren't prepared with a ridiculous spell, what can a boggart actually do to you?
A lot of people believe that it is just a defense mechanism in order for people to not prey on the boggart, but there are a fair number of people in the fandom that believe that, like, the boggart is there to kill you and then to eat you, that it is a predator.
Is it depending on you having a weak constitution, though? Because some people, I mean, Hermione mentions that people who think they've seen a Grim supposedly die of fright. So if you can die of fright, can you die from seeing a physical manifestation of your worst fear? Like, can it scare you to death? Because it just upsets Molly.
Yeah.
So I think it's sort of in the same class as Dementors, where it doesn't have to kill you, but it can just keep preying on your fear. And, like, that's sort of what, you know, like, nourishes the boggart, is, like, having people afraid of it in its vicinity.
But it can't take your soul like a Dementor can.
No, all it can do is just sort of, you know, hover around you as you're paralyzed with fear and go, nom, 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 nom.
That sounds right.
But all right, we can keep going with the Goblet of Fire climax, because this is actually the latest essay I published over on MuggleNet. I called it The Goblet of Sevens.
Ew.
So there's literally one for every chapter. So the third task, that's chapter 31. Chapter 32 is Flesh, Blood, and Bone, and there are 7 ingredients to resurrect Voldemort. So there are 3 poisons, which are the ones that actively hurt other people to, you know, collect said ingredients. There's unicorn blood, there is Harry's blood, and there is Wormtail's hand, you know, flesh of the servant and all that. There are 2 wines that are just the passive ingredients, like, you know, don't hurt anyone, not a bother, which is the water that's bubbling in the cauldron to begin with, and the, you know, bone of the father, which, like, let's be honest, Tom Riddle Sr. ain't using it at that point. And then the other 2 ingredients are Baby Mort, and Nagini's Venom. So, like, if you look at it as sort of, like, the baby version of Voldemort is, like, you know, regression to childhood and all that. I sort of view that as the backwards potion, because it's literally just sort of moving you back, you know, in your development. And Nagini's Venom is the one that, you know, nourishes Voldemort and helps him grow and regain strength, so that's the forward potion. But that's the set of 7. Keeping it going, in chapter 33, we have 7 Death Eaters that Voldemort addresses by name. See, again, qualifiers, by name. We have Crabbe, Goyle, Knott, McNair, Lucius, Avery, and Peter Pettigrew. In chapter 34, Priori Incantatem, we have 7 people who end up in the Cage of Light with Priori Incantatem. We've Harry and Voldemort themselves, and then the 5 Shades. James, Lily, Frank Bryce, Bertha Jorkins, and Cedric Diggory.
And Peter Pettigrew's hand.
Yes. So that is the qualifier. 7 full people with, you know, all their limbs intact.
Right, because you also have all of the screams from all of the torture spells, but those aren't people. Those are just the echoes of their pain.
Yes. Then, chapter 35, when Harry is in Barty Crouch Jr.'s office for the Veritaserum confession, there are 7 people in the office. We have Harry, Dumbledore, Snape, McGonagall, Winky, an unconscious Mad-Eye Moody, just hanging out in the trunk, and Barty Crouch Jr. himself, you know, spilling all his guts. And Harry goes from, you know, one gathering of 7 people to another gathering of 7 people. It's just all 7s all around. So chapter 36, there are 7 people in the hospital wing ready to start fussing over Harry when he gets there. There's Ron, Hermione, Sirius, Molly Weasley, Bill Weasley, Dumbledore, and Madame Pomfrey. So yes, 7s in every chapter, all of the 7s in Goblet of Fire.
Just to be, I may be mixing up when Ron was in the hospital from being poisoned, which is a Half-Blood Prince thing. But I thought like Ginny, Fred, and George were there too. Were they not there?
No, not in Goblet of Fire. No.
Okay, I must be thinking of Half-Blood Prince then.
Yeah, in Half-Blood Prince, sort of all the Weasleys show up.
Okay, that's my mistake.
And then I think another 7 for Goblet of Fire is the 7 locks on the 7-part trunk.
Naturally. Mm-hmm. And also naturally, Moody himself is in the 7th one.
Yeah, it's like oh, open 1, nothing. Open 2, nothing. It's like, just go ahead, open to 7-1.
Right, like Dumbledore, you should have known.
See, that's a movieism. In the book, as they open each layer of the many-layered trunk, there's different things that you see in there. But why should they bother, doing that in the movie when they can just skip to the part where you get inside the trunk and you see that that's where the real Moody is? I don't remember what the objects are, but I remember when they open each layer of the trunk in the book, there's stuff in there.
Yeah, there's like broken quills and stuff, textbooks, dark detectors. All right, but Jeff, what's in Chapter 7 of Goblet of Fire?
So the 7th chapter, I don't know why, but chapters like this in all the books are my favorites, where it's pretty much all just funny stuff that you can laugh about, but you also glean some important information from it. In the 7th chapter of Goblet of Fire is Bagman and Crouch. So they have just arrived at the campgrounds for the Quidditch World Cup. And in the 7th chapter of Goblet of Fire, Arthur Weasley points out 7 of his ministry colleagues while they are making lunch on the campgrounds. There's Cuthbert Mockridge from the Goblin Liaison Office, Gilbert Wimple from the Committee on Experimental Charms. He's the one who's had those horns for a while now. Arnold Peasgood, an Obliviator from the Accidental Magical Reversal Squad. Bode and Croaker, they're both unspeakables. And then, of course, we get Ludo Bagman, the head of Magical Games and Sports, and Barty Crouch, the head of the International Magical Cooperation Department.
That is an excellent find.
Yeah, for real.
Well done.
I knew anytime there's a list of characters or things, and this is what this academic writing on the Harry Potter series has done to my brain. Anytime there's a list, now I count how many there is on that list and think, is this an important number? Because I never thought about this list before this episode, but sure enough, once he's specifically introducing his ministry colleagues to his kids, there are 7 of them.
Yeah. I always look for 7s when I'm looking at, like, a gathering of people. Because I kind of enjoy the challenge a bit more. I was like, anytime there's, like, a bunch of people, I was like, how many people? Because, like, half the time it's going to be 7. Mm-hmm. Or on occasion it's 13, and then you have the whole, when 13 dine, and it's like, who's going to die?
Yeah.
It's fun. I like it.
Also, this list of people is really good trivia knowledge. Cuthbert Mockridge? I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's like an advanced level of trivia. Like, because I believe we find out in Half-Blood Prince, is it?
He's one of Slughorn's favorites, right?
Yes, Dirk Cresswell, head of the Goblin Liaison Office, always gives him excellent goings on at Gringotts. Now, is this just Cuthbert Mockridge stepped down or what have you, and then Dirk Cresswell took over, or is this an oversight?
Well, hold on. Is Dirk Cresswell definitely the head of the office?
Yes.
I just remember him working in it.
Yes, he's definitely head of the Goblin Liaison Office, because honestly, if he just worked in the office, I don't think Slughorn would care. It's not that he works in the office, it's that he's in charge of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he says, Barnabas Cuff, editor of the Daily Prophet, always interested to hear my take on the day's news.
You're
and
right.
There was Dirk Cresswell
right.
in the year after him, head of the Goblin Liaison Office.
I mean, I'm assuming Cuthbert retired. There's 2 years between the one and the other.
Yeah, and perfectly fine. Because admittedly, say what you will about how terribly goblins have been treated by wizards, because they've been very bad about it, but that must be an exhausting job to have, being a liaison between goblins and wizards.
Mm-hmm.
It does not sound fun to me.
No. When the career pamphlets came out in Order of the Phoenix, I think I'd skip that one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many, though, that don't sound interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but speaking of the ministry, in Order of the Phoenix, at the end of the book, when Harry fell down the stairs into the room with the whale, there's 7 people to come help him. And that's Neville, Sirius, Lupin, Moody, Tonks, Kingsley, and Dumbledore.
Well spotted.
Yeah,
I
that's a
like
great
that one.
And it's the fact that it's a combination of what you could say the first wave and the second wave of responders to what's going on at the Ministry, because there's Harry's team of Dumbledore's army, and then there's Dumbledore's team of the Order of the Phoenix, and this is a combination of both of those groups of people.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I mentioned this at the beginning, but there's also the 7 rooms in the Department of Mysteries that Harry and company run through. And this one also lends itself superbly well to the potions riddle rubric. So the 3 poisons are the rooms where Harry and company get seriously injured, like down for the count injured. There's the small cluttered office where they're fighting, and that's where Dolohov uses his super effective magical purple flames, TM, to take out Hermione.
TM.
I find Dolohov so compelling.
I can't hear TM.
Another topic for another episode.
I agree, but I can't hear TM and not think Riddle TM.
Yes, that's it.
I know you understand that.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, is there a Wizard Rocker with songs about Dolohov? Because there really should be.
Off the top of my head, I cannot think of anybody who has written about that specific character, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean that it never would. And now that you've said something about Dolohov, I feel like maybe I should write it. Like, he's always described as having, this is how quickly it happens. Like, I'm picturing it now. He's always described as having a twisted face. There's a band called Twisted Sister. What if I did a Twisted Sister parody about Dolohov?
Jeff, have we ever podcasted together and you didn't walk away with a Wizard Rock homework assignment?
No, and we never will.
All right, we're keeping tradition alive. I can't wait to hear it, as always.
Terrific.
But the other 2 deadly rooms are the brain room, where Ron faces off with a brain and it goes badly for him. And of course there's the death chamber, where all manner of bad things happen. For example, Dolohov seriously injures Mad-Eye Moody, Bellatrix seriously injures Tonks, and Bellatrix kills Sirius.
Now, since you mentioned the brain room, I will say that one of my favorite Wizard Rock tunes to listen to pretty frequently is a tune by Solitary Snape called Brain Room. It's so upbeat for such a twisted kind of topic.
Oh, I think I've heard that song a couple times, but I can't remember. I'm gonna look that up.
It's got a ukulele in it, which is unexpected for that particular topic, but it works. It's a good song.
So there are 2 rooms that are the Nettle Wines, where no conclusive dueling happens one way or the other. There's the, circular hallway of doors that keep spinning, that they just sort of keep running through, sort of Scooby-Doo style. And then there's the Planet Room, where, we get broken ankles and stuff, but no one is down for the count, except Pluto, which gets blown up, which I think is a metaphor for it getting demoted as a planet by the International Astronomical Union. and I will forever be bitter about it.
That's fun. I like that.
Thank you. And the forward and backward potions, it's about time. We literally have a room that is about moving forward in time and one that's about moving back. We have the time room and the Hall of Prophecy. So, bam, 7 Department of Mystery rooms.
Mm-hmm. That last one's especially clever. Forward, Hall of Prophecy, back, time room. I like it.
Thank you. But Jeff, what about the 7th chapter? What have you got for us?
Within the with Goblet of Fire, I mentioned Arthur Weasley introduced 7 of his Ministry colleagues. Here, in the 7th chapter of Order of the Phoenix, the Ministry of Magic, Arthur Weasley speaks to 7 people when he and Harry arrive at the Ministry. First, the voice inside the telephone box, Harry himself, Eric, the security wizard, Bob, the guy with the chicken that breathes fire, Kingsley Shacklebolt in the Auror's office, Perkins, his colleague in the misuse of Muggle artifacts office, and Bode, the unspeakable, makes a reappearance in the elevator.
Love it.
Those are the 7 people to whom he speaks directly at the Ministry of Magic in this chapter.
Fantastic.
That's great. The more we go, the more convinced I am that, 7 of something is going to become a regular podcast segment because, yeah, really, we can find one in every chapter.
Very much so.
Oh, I found a 7 in Order of the Phoenix when I was prepping this episode. The draft of peace needs to simmer for 7 minutes in Snape's first potions class.
That's highly important because especially when you get into the more advanced potion making, you realize how incredibly precise all of the measurements and durations have to be to get the potions right, which is what makes them so fussy. So yeah, 7 minutes simmering for the draft of peace, I would say that's incredibly significant.
Yes. Dear God, like, I love chemistry, but potions sounds so stressful.
Well, think about the effect that most of these potions can have on a human person or, a tadpole or a toad or whatever you're using them on. These are very, very powerful concoctions that you're making up. Or they curdle and turn into purple dumplings, like Ernie Macmillan.
It absolutely makes sense that potions would be this involved. I'm just saying it's a lot for 11-year-olds to handle.
All of this is a lot for anybody of any of these ages to handle. That's why it's in a book.
Wait, is that how this works?
Yes, that's how this works.
Nope. Not one bit.
All right, let us move it along to Half-Blood Prince.
So the 7th chapter of Half-Blood Prince, titled The Slug Club, Harry and Neville end up getting invited to a lunch on the Hogwarts Express that has a total attendance of 7 people. There is Harry and Neville, and Slughorn, the person who invites them. There is also Ginny Weasley, Blaise Zabini, genderless icon extraordinaire, Cormac McLagan, grade A jerkface, and Marcus Belby, who is also there.
Almost dies.
Yes.
Marcus Belby feels like, Marcus Belby is to Ravenclaw House what Sally Perks is to the Puffs. I'm Sally Perks, and I go to this school.
Yes.
He's Marcus Belby, and he goes to Ravenclaw House.
As long as Jesse Cannizzaro can play Marcus Belby when they make a play about the Ravenclaws, I'm in.
Great. That sounds terrific. Although Marcus Belby does it's overlooked, I think, but it is one of my most favorite movie-isms. He's just scarfing down his dessert at the Slug Club dinner, and he gets asked about his uncle who invented the Wolfsbane potion, and he says, he and Dad don't get on. Probably because my dad says the only potion worth having is a stiff one at the end of the day.
Oh, that is funny.
I love that. That feels like something that maybe he made that up or maybe it's a common adage in the wizarding world. The only potion worth having is a stiff one at the end of the day. I can see that.
When you talk about these movieisms, they're a revelation to me because I haven't seen this movie in 14 years, so I have zero recollection of it.
Well, like I said earlier,
but that is funny.
Yeah, at the top of the episode, I said for the longest time, the only context I had for this entire series was these movies, and I watched them over and over and over. Now I devour. I mean, I still watch the films, but I devour the books over and over and over far more than the movies now. But those movieisms are so ingrained, in my brain, because things like that used to frustrate me when they would change things when they adapt them, but now I've actually grown to appreciate them because I like when things are different now. I do. Yeah, they take out stuff that I wish they wouldn't sometimes, but I can at least appreciate that they tried to go a different direction with it sometimes. I can get into that.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we're not getting into the question of adaptation because we do have to finish sometime today.
Yeah.
So, also in Half-Blood Prince, we have 7 memories that Dumbledore shows Harry as part of his Tom Riddle 101 class. So we have Bob Ogden visiting the Gaunts. We have Caractacus Burke saying how he swindled Merope for the locket. We have the one where Dumbledore visits Tom Riddle in the orphanage. We have Morphin Gaunt meeting Tom Riddle, and Tom Riddle being like, "So you're my uncle? Cool." We have the one where Tom Riddle asks Slughorn about Horcruxes. That one, is bonus, because we get it twice, kind of. Well, 1.5 times. There's the one of Tom Riddle visiting Hepzibah Smith, of course, and there's Lord Voldemort's request when he goes to seek out the Defense Against Dark Arts position.
Yep.
And because we can keep doing this, and because I've researched a lot about Death Eaters, there are 7 named Death Eaters at the Battle of the Tower at the end of the book.
Qualifier named.
Qualifier named. So the 7 named Death Eaters are Amicus Carrow, Alecto Carrow, Draco Snape, Yaxley, Gibbon, R.I.P., and Thorfinn Rell. Now, there are several asterisks. So first of all, several of them are not named in the scene. We just find out who they were later on in Deathly Hallows. Second, Fenrir Greyback does not count. He is not a Death Eater, no Dark Mark. And there are 2 other unnamed Death Eaters in the scene, which it took me years and years and years to figure out, but I did a very close read and was like, there are 2 other Death Eaters there. And one of them, I would argue, is meant to be Travers. And for that, there is an essay I wrote about Death Eaters a year ago, so it's all there.
I would argue that there's 3, and it's Mulciber, Moran, and Troy from the Irish national team.
Well, Mulciber is in Azkaban at this time, so your joke is silly.
Okay, good. Deathly Hallows time! Did you know that there are 7 Potters?
Yes.
It's so dumb.
Evan's
The 7
favorite
Potters
part.
thing is so dumb. I will never get over how dumb it is.
I'm pretty sure Snape was super drunk when he listened to Dumbledore's portrait be like, you should give this idea to what's his toes, the Mundungus. And Snape was like, sure. And then Mundungus was also drunk. So it was just a lot of drunkenness.
I mean, they were in a pub. In a pub.
It's the only explanation for whoever thought this was a good idea.
And you know what? I mean, a moment ago we were speaking about movieisms. This is a time where I feel like, for the sake of the film, I enjoy the way that they carried this off. Because in the books, when you take Polyjuice Potion, you retain, you take on the voice of the person you're transforming into. But in the films, for some reason, they decided to do it where you take Polyjuice Potion, but you still sound like yourself. So you've got all these versions of Daniel Radcliffe in different manners of dress, saying things like, Bill, don't look at me, I'm hideous, and, oh, Harry, your eyesight really is awful. It's funny to see all the different Daniel Radcliffes doing that.
But I think that would be so much funnier. It'd be so much funnier if Harry kept his voice, and Harry, in full-on teenage boy's voice, was, Bill, don't look at me, I'm idiot.
Yeah, I agree.
See, that would be funny, but by the time they get to this movie, they've already decided, nope, you take Polyjuice Potion and you still sound like yourself. That's part of it. So that's not Daniel's fault, but I agree. If they had done it that way...
many things are, but I'll agree that's not his fault.
I would have enjoyed seeing it that way, too.
Yeah.
So my instance in the 7th chapter of this book might not be as clever or as deep as some of the other 7th chapter finds, but I was determined to figure out at least one. So in the 7th chapter of Deathly Hallows, The Will of Albus Dumbledore, Harry does turn 17, and that, I would say, is significant because he does technically come of age.
Okay, yeah.
That is your loosest one yet.
Yeah, I mean, give you a passing grade for that, but sort of a C. That's that's an acceptable at best.
Yeah, I know it is, but trust me, you know what? I read this chapter twice. I tried so hard. I even looked up how many Tales of Beetle the Bard there are, how many presents does Harry get for his birthday, how many people show up for Harry's birthday dinner. I tried every different way I could think of. This was the only one that I could find.
This is the 7th use of snitch in a chapter. We've got the 3 Quidditch chapters.
I think you just need to qualify the people showing up. The number of people who show up who already know Harry but did not just elope and do stay the night. I feel like with enough qualifiers, we could get to 7.
The qualifiers really are doing the heavy lifting, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Could I wait a minute, let me think. The number of non-Weasleys. There's Harry, Hermione, Hagrid, the Minister of Magic, Lupin, Tonks. That's it.
Hagrid?
Do the Delacours count?
If the Delacours count, then we're past 7 because...
But what if they're not Harry?
Wait, yeah, non-Weasleys who aren't having a birthday.
Oh, okay, how about we do it this way? Non-Weasleys who don't run away when the minister shows up. Monsieur and Madame Delacour, Fleur and her sister, Hagrid, Harry, Hermione. Is that 7?
But are you not counting the minister then?
Correct, because he doesn't run
No,
away from
because
himself.
the minister doesn't show. Yeah, let's not. You know what? Let's not count the minister because the minister doesn't show up for Harry's birthday. He shows up to do dumb minister stuff.
Non-Weasleys who are there for Harry's birthday that don't run away.
Yes. Yeah.
There
we have 7.
Great. There you go.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's fun. So I have one too. In The Prince's Tale, out of all the memories, the 7th memory in The Prince's Tale is the crucial one. It's Snape's worst memory when he calls Lily a mudblood and all of that. So, of course, the key memory would be the 7th one.
Mudblood, as a word, has 7 unique letters in it.
Whoa!
Wait a minute. No.
Yep, because if you take unique letter.
Because O is O.
Yeah,
okay, because O
an
is
8-letter
repeated.
word.
Okay, no, I'm with you. Yeah, it's an 8-letter word, but
it's
O
6
is
unique letters.
Yeah, it's only 6.
Because D is also
the D
repeated.
is also repeated.
M-U-D. Oh, biscuits.
Denied.
Damn it, Sam. Aren't you a teacher?
Yeah, but not for maths.
Oh my god. But in the doc, if you see, there's quotation marks. So if you're talking about unique...
Oh,
We're just counting characters now.
Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh.
Wait, but are we counting opening and closing quotation marks as distinct characters or
repeat ones? Because they're still called quotation marks.
Okay, no, sit down. Sit
Dear
down.
Jeff, I've been sitting for the last 2 hours.
Yeah, we're entering our 3rd hour, and it shows.
Yeah.
I'm entering my 5th hour, dear sir.
I think it's the 6th hour.
Yes.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, listeners, Sam and Oreo are recording 2 episodes today, so we are asking a lot of them.
Yeah.
The sun was out when we started.
Yep.
That is definitely true for me. It's dark now.
All right, let's talk about what other 7s we can find. For instance, in our favorite magic school.
Yay! There's 7 floors.
There's 7 Defense Against Dark Arts professors.
Dumbledore's office is on the 7th floor of the castle.
So is the Room of Requirement.
As is the Gryffindor study room place common area.
And also, I don't know if you guys knew this, there are 7 years at Hogwarts. I know. Minds are being blown.
Are you sure that sounds made up?
I don't know. I'll need to check my books.
And Flitwick's office is also on the 7th floor, which we learn in Prisoner of Azkaban when they free Sirius, who's locked up inside.
So wait, so is the 7th floor of Hogwarts just like office space?
The main floor, clearly.
No, just like everyone has their offices there. Like all the classrooms are, floors 1 to 6.
And the Gryffindor common room is on the 7th floor.
That's great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be honest, I never paid attention to Hogwarts geography because, I never thought it mattered.
Until you started playing Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, I still don't pay attention. I use the, point me spell and just follow on the map.
I mean, come on. Staircases change, rooms appear and disappear. It's a lot to keep track of. This is a lot for 11-year-olds to handle.
If the Gryffindors are on the 7th floor and they're in the tower, then potentially Ravenclaws as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that there are essentially 7 Marauders? Because we've got the trio and the original 4 Marauders.
What about the twins?
They aren't Marauders.
They're Marauders by proxy.
But only by proxy.
Yeah.
And you can't become a Marauder by osmosis.
And also one of them dies, so it's fine.
Yeah, but all the Marauders die, so if we're counting living Marauders, we're way below 7.
Yeah, that's true.
We are at 2.5, because Ron's only half a person.
Yes.
Ooh. Shots fired.
You know that there's a bunch of 7s in Quidditch?
There are.
Do tell.
There are 7 Quidditch players.
There's also 700 ways to commit a foul in Quidditch, which is at least 699 too many.
Yeah.
Okay, so Oreo, what do you think the one foul should be?
Contact.
Cobbing, because it's fun to say.
No, just contact. If
Yeah.
you hit the other person on their broom, it's a foul. That's
Yeah.
the only thing you need.
Fair.
You don't need to say, okay, excessive use of elbows, or if you put your spur into somebody else's eye, it's a foul. Like, it's just contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's that one rule that I think is useful about not attacking the keeper unless the Quidditch is within the scoring area, but that also amounts to making
But
physical.
that's also contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you attack them with the bludger, though, like the bludger is meant to knock them off their brooms, not hit them. Or is it?
The only problem with that is you are supposed to tackle the quaffle away from the other chasers. So that would mean that if you were to throw the quaffle, you could only intercept the quaffle. You could not tackle. And then that would mean that the keeper would just have to always be tracking whoever has the quaffle. Because then they could just fly it straight to the keeper without any issue.
Well, there's also
Yeah.
still 2 bludgers in that game as well, so let's not pretend like it's easy
yeah.
of
Fair
just looking at one ball. There's also the 2 murderous ones.
Yeah. Well, and one of the fouls is bumping, which is hitting a bludger to the crowd.
Yeah.
I gotta say, my favorite one to say, though, is blatching, which is flying with intent to collide. Yeah.
That must be the Slytherin's, basic tactic to do all the time.
I'm just picturing, like, Slytherins holding signs like, bring blatching back! I'm gonna say that can be our title, bring blatching back.
There you go. There's
Another SEO winner.
In fairness, I think we will be on, like, the first page of Google results for blatching.
no doubt.
Yeah, for that one person that searches for it.
There's 6 people in the world that are going to look up blatching, and 4 of them are on this podcast.
But the other 2 will fall in love with our podcast. I just know it.
Yeah, but Lori Kin and Grace Candido Beecher already love our podcast.
Okay.
There was one that I thought that was Quidditch related that I thought was incredibly fun, was the fact that when Gryffindor finally wins the Quidditch Cup, when Harry finally wins the cup for Gryffindor, it is in the 7th match we see Gryffindor play. Because in Harry's first year, Gryffindor plays in 3 matches, but Harry's only in 2. He misses the last one. In the second year, they only play in 1 match, period. Then the season gets canceled, which brings us to 4. In the third
You
year...
can't cancel Quidditch.
Silence
You
would.
just can't.
In the third year, he faints in the first match, but they still play through the end, and then he wins the last 2 matches, which brings us to a total of 7 matches, and Gryffindor gets the cup.
And
Yay.
and I have a tangential one, which is that Harry plays 7 total Quidditch matches as a player, not as a captain.
That's true.
Yeah, there's the first 2 in
That's true.
year 1 versus Slytherin and Hufflepuff. There's the 1 match in year 2. There's all 3 in year 3. And then he plays against Slytherin in his 5th year before getting banned.
That's
You're missing
true.
him and Hermione versus Ginny and Ron.
No, he's not.
No, I'm not.
He's not missing
Play
that.
7 Quidditch matches with a full Quidditch match, 7v7.
No tea, no shade, no pig lemonade, but any Quidditch match, pickup or otherwise, that has Hermione Granger in it is not a Quidditch match.
Ooh.
We should do a Patreon thing where we put all the 7 Weasley children on a Quidditch team. Because I just want to know how bad Percy would be at being a chaser.
Bad.
You think he'd be a chaser?
Percy's a scorekeeper.
He'd have
He's
to
not
be.
an athlete.
Because we've got 2 beaters, a keeper, and a seeker already on the team.
And 1 chaser
Oh,
also.
touche. So then Ginny, Bill, and Percy are the chasers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the 90s when we're still doing very typical, like, school sports team tropes. Percy's the one who gets asked to be, like, the equipment manager or the scorekeeper, not an athlete.
He's
They
the
just
towel boy.
fielded a 2-chaser game.
But one of them is Ginny. She's good enough for 2.
No. The third chaser is going to be the ghoul in the attic.
Cool.
They're like, sorry, Percy, you've been demoted.
Why does Percy hate the Weasleys so much? Flash forward to when they were all, like, like barely going to Hogwarts and Percy's just schlepping all of the all the equipment into the shed and the Google's out playing on a broomstick.
Oh, I love that. All right.
Yeah, there's also some rules and regulations and general stuff around the Ministry that features sevens. So during Harry's trial, Dumbledore states, Clause 7 of the decree for the reasonable restriction of underage sorcery states that the magic must be used before muggles in exceptional circumstances.
We're familiar with Clause 7, thank you very much.
Do you think that when writing laws, they make sure Clause 7 is always the most important part of the law?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah. Now, this one is not a clean 7, but the prophecy is in row 97 in the Department of Mysteries.
Half credit.
No, you know what? If I get an acceptable OWL for Harry turning 17 in the 7th chapter of Deathly Hallows, that one gets a poor. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that is as good as yours. That also gets an acceptable.
Oh, please.
Sorry, Jeff, I don't make the rules. Well, except I do.
You know what? The rules are made up and the points don't matter. This is the wizarding world. We're basically going by whose line is it anyway rules.
Did you just say the wizarding world?
Yes.
Because that sounds like we're all peeing everywhere.
Yeah, you know what? At least I didn't... What was the thing you said earlier? At least I didn't say... Never mind.
Raisin instead of raven?
That's the one.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one is worse here.
I think mine might be worse because I enjoy raisins.
Yeah.
Yes. Oreo, where else can we find sevens at the Ministry?
So in those purple leaflets that the Ministry sends out at the beginning of Half-Blood Prince, there's 7 ways to protect the home and family against dark forces. Because of course there is.
Of course there is.
There are also 7 animagi registered with the Improper Use of Magic office.
And at least as many who aren't registered.
Yeah.
Because, we're finding secret animagi, every year these days.
Well, we already know 4, so... yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Triwizard Tournament was first established 700 years before its appearance in the book series.
In fairness, the Triwizard Tournament has that, late 13th century vibes of the, if some people die, it happens.
For real.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I found another fun set of 7 when I was working on a MuggleNet article that came out a couple months ago called The Scoop on Rita Skeeter, where this might have been a Jeff's prompting, but I wrote an analysis of all of Rita Skeeter's articles, arguing that all of them have a kernel of truth in them. But anyway, there are 7 articles of Rita's where we actually get, at least a snippet. There is the Scenes of Terror at the Quidditch World Cup. There's the article she writes about the Triwizard Tournament, which is sort of what launches her and Harry's partnership, for lack of a better term. There's Dumbledore's Giant Mistake, all about Hagrid, which is by far the truest thing she's ever written.
Oh, no.
There's Harry Potter's Secret Heartache, all about the Krum, Hermione, Harry love triangle.
Which is almost right. It's just not Harry, it's just Ron.
Right, she's not far off. There's Harry Potter, Disturbed and Dangerous, which is the one telling everyone Harry's gone crazy at the end of year 4. There's the one where she does the interview with Harry that ends up in the Quibbler. Harry Potter speaks out at last. The truth about he who must not be named and the night I saw him return, which is a hell of a subtitle. There's the article where she's actually the interviewee for Betty Braithwaite in the Daily Prophet about her upcoming book, which is Dumbledore, the Truth at Last. And, of course, there's her book, The Life and Lives of Albus Dumbledore. And, of course, I will remind listeners to take this moment, if you want a much better book than Rita's about Dumbledore, go buy my book, Dumbledore, The Life and Lies, at lifeandliesofdumbledore.com.
Mm-hmm.
Other 7s that we find in the series is by book 1, Slytherin has won a Quidditch Cup the last 7 years.
Yep.
That's a bummer. The age at which magic will reveal itself is typically when a person is 7. I think that's not as hard and certain rule.
No, it's 7-ish.
Yeah, so
yeah,
a bit of a reach, I guess. And then we have the thing where it's after hearing a loud cracking noise while watching the news, Uncle Vernon waved from the window at Mrs. 7, who was glaring from behind her net curtains. I just like that she doesn't have a name.
I know. I find that very amusing. And, like, I use that in my life. Like, when I'm complaining about my neighbors, I was like, so Mrs. Downstairs is banging on the ceiling every time I walk past, and Mrs. Upstairs likes blasting music at 11 a.m.
I definitely relate to that. Sometimes we live at number 1610, but sometimes we say things like, oh, it sounds like 1601 is at it again. I wonder if the cops will show up this time.
Mm-hmm. But I think it's the title in front of it. Like, it has to be Mrs. Upstairs and Mrs. Downstairs.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love that.
In Half-Blood Prince, Harry waits for Dumbledore and is watching him since 7 o'clock at the Dursleys.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, 7 o'clocks throughout the series, which, like, I thought might be a little excessive even for us. But that's a good one.
Yeah. Blaise Zabini's mother is famously beautiful witch who had been married and widowed 7 times.
Dun, dun, dun! Come on, Sam. I'm picking up your slack.
So sorry.
Draught of the Living Dead, you have to add a clockwise stir after every 7th counterclockwise stir. If you
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. That's all we ask. You have one job.
If you want to listen to Snape anyway. And while on his way to Dumbledore's office, Harry hides as Professor Trelawney passes by, shuffling dirty-looking playing cards. The second one she reads is the 7th of spades, which is an ill omen.
Dun, dun, dun.
So yeah.
All right, I love that. And to wrap up, it's time for some math. Yay, math!
So yeah, these are take them with, I don't know, a bucket of salt or whatever. Or if you like maths, then maybe you enjoy them. But these are all a bit of a reach. So 9 3/4, if you add up the numbers, so 9, 3, and 4, that's 16. And then 16 again is 1 and 6. So that's a 7. Yay.
Yeah. Or if you look at it as a decimal, it's 9.75, which adds up to 21, which is 3 times 7.
There you go.
Oh.
Ah.
It was meant to be. So we all know that Snape likes everyone to turn to page 394. And again, 3, 9, and 4, 16, and that's 7.
1 and 6 is 7.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Is it?
1 plus 6, really? Okay.
He's been podcasting for 1 plus 6 hours, so that's a fair
He's
question.
been podcasting for 6 hours plus
what
1
day is
more.
it?
1 plus 6 is 7.
7 hours.
7 hours later.
And the last one I have is 142 flights of stairs at Hogwarts, which is 1, 4, and 2, and that is 7. And we do know it's 7 floors, so.
Yeah, that was my
4 plus 2
favorite.
is 6, and 6 plus 1 is 7. Yeah. Good job.
Also, something
I know, I'm
about...
so good at basic maths.
I enjoyed that very much.
Also, I can't remember off the top of my head. There's a Wizard Rock band. It's something like 142 staircases.
142 staircases.
That's
yeah.
it.
Which is the reason I will always remember that bit of trivia.
That's it. Yeah, they are not as well known as some other Wizard Rock bands, but a lot of the music that they have is actually quite good. It's very, very catchy.
Well, talk of Wizard Rock. Normally, I'm the one answering this question, but Jeff, since we have you on the show, tell us, what Wizard Rock relates to the topic of sevens that our listeners should listen to?
Well, I wanted to stay on theme, so I managed to restrict myself to a playlist. Actually, this is quite a good playlist when I look at it. It's a list of 7 songs that I feel like relate to this topic. So the first is Forget the Girl by How Airplanes Fly. It breaks my heart every time I hear it, but it is a song about Ginny learning to let go of Harry so that Harry can go off and, as the song says, save the day, save the world, forget the girl, because young hearts are meant to be broken. So that's directly connected to more the 7th book, the moment where Ginny wants to give Harry something to remember him, or something to remember her by, which I believe is actually in the 7th chapter of the book where that moment happens. So that's even more directly connected to it.
Well done.
At the Burrow, I used to dream of you and me. When I was too afraid to speak. All of that seems so foolish now. All my fears seem so weak. I've missed some opportunities, but so has everyone else. So I need to think about that now. I doubt if I had spoken up sooner, it would have made any difference anyhow. I just hope this isn't the last time that I get to hold you. Be careful, Abby. I hope this isn't the last time that you're mine. It's okay, I understand. Go save the day, go save the world, forget the girl. Young hearts are meant to be broken, but don't turn back, please don't turn back, 'cause I can't say goodbye. I'm not ready for this, not ready for this. I'm not ready for this, ready for. It's okay, I understand. Go save the day, go save the world, forget the girl. Young hearts are meant to be broken, but don't turn back, please don't turn back, 'cause I can't say goodbye.
The second song on this playlist is Death Eaters Rejoice by the Butterbeer Experience. Love the Butterbeer Experience. Fabulous vocals and arrangement in every song, but I love this song in particular because it's that moment in the 7th book where the Death Eaters believe Harry is dead and they've won, and it's just so jaunty, and it's got all those offbeat claps like in a gospel number, and it's so fun. It's such a fun thing for a moment that is not as upbeat in the books, definitely.
He's dead, boy, you live is dead, so get all the thoughts right out your head. What a minute that will be done, the age of your blood has begun, now the world is truly in our hands. Just look around, take a look around, I see that monarchy right all around. You better believe I'm jumping for joy, 'cause right at the man is how smart a boy, now the world is truly in our hands.
Number 3 is Weasleys by Totally Knuts. I love Totally Knuts for so many reasons. What I love about this song is that Totally Knuts went on a mission to queer every character in the Harry Potter series, which they completed that mission. And Weasley's is one of my favorite songs. It's from an album called Out of the Binary. And in this song, Molly Weasley is accepting that every single one of her 7 Weasley children is not one of the binary genders. And the lyrics are both touching and hilarious. Because when it gets to Ron, it just says Ron is just a mess. I believe it's Ron or Percy, I forget which, but one of them is just a mess. That's their identity. It's hilarious.
Bill's by gender, Charlie's ace, the twins are genderless. Percy's femme, Ginny's butch, and Ron is just a mess. Arthur started studying this in the Muggle world. He knew that there was more to it than merely boys and girls. So some self-reflection is exactly what he did, and came out to his family as gender fluid. And every single Weasley is trans. None of them a woman or a man. Bill's by gender, Charlie's ace, the twins are genderless. Percy's femme, Ginny's butch, and Ron is just a mess.
Number 4 is Horcrux by Callista Flame. I love this song because it's called Horcrux. It is a really, really beautiful, soulful song about the 7 Horcruxes. It's a parody of something. I know it's a parody of something.
It's a parody of an Ed Sheeran song.
That's it. It's an Ed Sheeran song. I knew it was a parody of something. I couldn't recall offhand what. But I want
because Callista Flame's whole thing is song parodies, I believe, right?
Correct, because Callista Flame and I are actually going to be playing a parody she has yet to release when we perform with Hawthorne and Holly at MystiCon, roughly 1 month from this recording.
Fabulous. I can't wait to see the video of that.
Trust me, you'll see the video. We'll make sure it goes up.
Magic can heal. Magic can heal your soul. Just have to kill some people along the way. And if you hurt
Number 5, Right Hand Man by Split 7 Ways. I mean, we had to, you type in 7 on your wizardrockresource.com, you're going to find a million great songs by Split 7 Ways. I chose Right Hand Man because I know Snape isn't everybody's favorite character. Laurie Kim would probably disagree. Definitely read her Snape book. It's a great read. But for some reason, I just love that Snape is such great material for Wizard Rock because he's so angsty. You can go so many different directions with him. You can do angsty, you can do metal, you can do grunge, you can do comedy. There's just so much material with the Snape character for Wizard Rock, and Right Hand Man is a really great example of that.
I'm the Dark Lord's right-hand man, and he's the left and hates the sight of me. I was there in the shrieking shack, full of echoes of him hanging from that tree. I saw the murder in his eyes. He's the Dark Lord's servant, but he might carry on his hatred over to me, and I was never that good in a fight.
Number 6 is Why Fight by 7 Potters. When you look at the description of the song on Bandcamp, it even goes into what I think is a great explanation of why the song remains relevant, because it's really about all of the loss that Harry has experienced and why he continues to fight. And it's important for us as a fandom now because it also kind of invokes those same feelings of why we continue to gather in this space and talk about these things and why we're all still here. So I wanted to make sure that that song in particular was on the list.
I will prove to the world that their deaths were not in vain. I fight it for them. I fought it for them. Why when it seems that to live we must give up ourselves and be brave. We fight 'cause we love. We fight for our friends. Why when we know that the world is more broken than we alone can mend? We fight 'cause we care. We fight for our friends. We fight for our friends.
And then number 7.
Oh, who's this one by? Never heard of him.
So this is a song by me, Dreamquaffle. It's called Beneath Our Floors. Now, I will tell you, this is for a compilation album put together by Lawn of Bisexual Harry. The name of that compilation album is How Weird Can You Get? For this song, I took the poem at the entrance to Gringotts warning of retribution to thievery. I turned it into a far more twisted version. And I'm going to ask you guys to guess, in case you haven't listened to the song, why do you think I included it on this list of things that relate to the number 7?
I do not know.
No, I got nothing.
Fair enough. It's because that's how many vocal tracks I had to lay down to get the effect that I was going for. 7. There are 7 vocal tracks.
I would not have guessed that.
And just, it is, honestly, it's creepy. Like, I won't lie. It creeped me out when I was done with it and I played it back. I said, ooh, this feels creepy. But that's exactly the effect I was going for, because that was the assignment. How weird can you get? That was my interpretation of it. Spoiler alert for anybody who checks out that album, it gets weirder than that. And that's exactly how Lon, laid out the tracks on that album. It starts with the ones that are the most palatable, and then it gets into the ones that are just completely off the wall bonkers. Like, one of those songs, I believe, is longer than 10 minutes by a significant amount. I can't even begin to describe some of the great weird stuff that came up on that album.
Amazing.
Welcome, stranger, come inside, where greed is something we can't abide. If you don't earn but choose to take, that would be a big mistake. So if you go beneath our floors and take things that were never yours, forevermore you'll be a thief. And so your soul is ours to keep. 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 Your soul is ours to keep. And so 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 your soul is ours to keep. Your soul is ours to keep.
That is my list of 7 songs that relate to the number 7 in Wizard Rock.
Bravo. Well done. I'm so glad I outsourced this task to you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I was glad to do it.
Well, we are very grateful to have had you as a guest today, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for bringing me on. I was so glad to be able to do this episode. I have really missed podcasting with you guys, and this was a great topic for us to discuss. So thank you so much for having me.
And you've already mentioned all of your other projects, which I feel like there's probably
Oh, no,
more.
not all of them. We're only scratching the surface.
More than 7 for that. So, but if you do want to plug anything, Jeff, where can people find you, or what other stuff should they check out of yours?
If you're still interested in listening to Alohomora or Speak Beastie, I do host for those. I have a Grishaverse podcast I host with my friend Juliana called Into the Fold. If you're interested in any of my Wizard Rock, just go to dreamquaffle.bandcamp.com. If you look me up, I'm Dreamquaffle on all the social medias. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I don't think there's any others. If you look those up, I have got a couple of conventions that I'm going to be playing at in the next couple of months. So if you happen to be going to any Harry Potter conventions, then just keep an eye out, because it is very likely you will see me there.
Amazing. I very much hope to see you at one of those conventions, and it's been great having you.
Thank you.
Also, I want to give a huge thanks again to Sam Amon, who bought us this round of drinks at the Three Broomsticks. Yay! Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Listeners, if you want to support us in this podcasting adventure, please head over to patreon.com/3broomsticks with the number 3 to sign up. We're offering bonus content, chats with the hosts, on-episode shout-outs to our patrons, just like we did here and now. There's a lot of, administrative expenses involved in keeping the lights on at the Three Broomsticks, so we'd really appreciate your help in supporting the podcast so we can talk about Harry Potter for a long time to come. Eventually we're going to be doing episode, 468 about all the instances of the number 468 in the text, and we really hope to get there with your help. And listeners, if you like our show, don't forget to tell your friends. Word of mouth is a huge help to us. And, of course, rate and review us wherever you listen to help get the word out. And, Jeff, since you are our incredible social media person, tell us where the listeners can find your excellent work.
Certainly. You can look us up on @3broompod on Twitter, @3broomstickspodcast on Instagram, and @3broomstickspod on Facebook. While I'm here, I would like to apologize if it's weird that those are all not consistent. When I set these accounts up, I promise you, I tried to keep as much consistency between accounts to avoid confusion. You'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't, how many people have thought to use 3 broomsticks in their social media handles. So I did my best, and we really hope to see you guys on our social medias. We would love your comments. We would love to have you join the community. And you can find us on the website at 3broomstickspod.com, which, again, all these is 3 spelled out. There are links to the essays that we have mentioned today. You can submit a topic if there's something you'd like to hear the hosts talk about. And you can also join in on the comments to let us know what you think. If you have a little bit more of a long-form answer, you can always email the podcast at number 3broomstickspod@gmail.com.
And join us next time when we meet at the Three Broomsticks, where we'll be discussing mothers in the Harry Potter series.
For Mother's Day!
Aww, for Mother's Day.
Or join Sam and me in the past where we just did that.
Where we just did it.
Oh my god, you're spilling all our secrets. They're gonna know we sometimes record out of order.
We've already mentioned it like so many times.
Oh, illusions are being shattered.
I'm Oreo.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Irvin. Thank you for listening, and see you next time in the Three Broomsticks. Cheers!
Give me big old buckets of butterbeer. Give me big old barrels of butterbeer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here. Give me big old buckets of butterbeer. Give me big old barrels of butterbeer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here of the sweet old butterbeer.
This episode of The Three Broomsticks was edited by Patrick Musilek. The theme song was written and performed by the Faithful Sidekicks. Make sure to check them out at thefaithfulsidekicks.com.
Much better. Sorry, that's for all the
Welcome
Drag
to-
Race UK fans out there. Oh my god, I just interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
You have derailed us before we've recorded a single word, Jeff.
Well, I have to stay in character, don't I? I have brand recognition to protect. That's a very 2023 thing to say.
Well, we definitely are going to get outro material. Right.